Man, I tried to tell y'all. Y'all ain't want to listen to me though. Y'all ain't want to listen to Ty. I tried to tell you this man right here. I said in the Charlie Kirk assassination, he was going to play a key role. Him right here. We already know that this guy plays a key role. We already know that, right? But I knew that the public didn't understand that Epstein played a key role. I knew y'all didn't understand that. So I tried to disclose it right here. I tried to tell y'all right there. I had what is this? Part four, I think I came out with. But in part four, I tried to that's right here, in case y'all don't see it right there. But in part four, I came out with so much information that exposed not only what happened to Charlie Kirk and exactly how it happened, and with a little bit of a correction from here, because we initially thought that this guy right here might have been the guy who actually did it. In case you can't see that right there, we kind of thought that maybe that's where it was going at first. Then we found out that no, he was just the lookout for the actual drone. He was really the lookout for the drone, right? So we uncovered a massive amount of data, a massive amount of information in parts one through three. But when we got to part four over here, let me tell you something. That's when everything started to change. That's when the bigger picture started to come into play, right? And when the bigger picture started to come into play, I knew that it was just inevitable. It was literally inevitable that Epstein had something to do with this, that not necessarily had something himself to do with this, but that his network, his people were tied into this. And that's what I kept saying in parts one through four. I was trying to tell you guys, like, hey, Charlie Kirk was a part of something. That's what happened. He was a part of something. And becoming a part of something in his world, listen, all that means is you have access. That's what my book on, well, let me show you my book real quick. That's what my whole book is about, planned. Okay, it's on my poem right now. Let me kind of put it back towards the beginning a little bit, right? That's my book, planned. Okay, that's what my whole book is about, access. And Charlie Kirk had received and achieved access at a young age. Now that's my pen pub, and that's what I'm talking to you guys on. Is my pen pub right now for you guys and girls that are home watching this. There you go. I'll zoom out so you can kind of see what it is, right? So it's very flexible, so I can kind of zoom back in and keep this full screen, so everybody watching it can kind of see it in presentation mode. But this is my pen pub. This is my book planned on my pen pub. If you want to support me and you like this information that you're about to find here, that you will not find anywhere else. They've blackballed me everywhere else. They won't interview me. They won't talk to me. They act like what I'm saying is crazy. Listen, I was an information systems analyst for Uncle Sam for almost 5 years. I got out the military a little bit earlier. I got out on a general under honorable conditions. Um, During that time frame, I learned a lot. I learned a lot as an information systems analyst. I held a clearance. I worked for General Abrams. I did a lot of things, right? So trying to dismiss me as crazy, especially with some of the programs and the things that I not only developed but worked on, um, that's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea. So look, let's get into it. I want to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt, okay? I want to prove to you that Jeffrey Epstein's whole inner circle, his whole this whole Bibi Netanyahu and Israel and Elbit systems, all of this stuff is linked and connected. When I tried to tell people that Charlie Kirk was shot by two drones or was shot by a drone, two shots, nobody wanted to believe me. Everybody wanted to kind of treat me a little bit crazy. And I personally think that that is just unacceptable, personally. So I want to show you guys that I know exactly what I'm talking about. All of these things actually do match. As a matter of fact, I'll kind of give you a little sneak peek right here. All right. This is where we're going with it, guys. Elbit Systems, Epstein Island, Epstein's bedroom, and Duncan Aviation. They all have a common theme, but we'll get back to that, right? Let's go ahead and move forward. These people think they're slick. let me show you how Jeffrey Epstein is actually in these files, right? Watch this. Got it. This is to Jeffrey Epstein, right? And we don't know who it's actually from, okay? But got it, will do. Brooklyn, right? Waiting for I finished her shoot, going out again tonight with Unit first and then Antoine. Unit came to Provo just to see me last night, and he is upset that I didn't call him. He knows everyone though. You understand what do you understand what that is? This is a communication with somebody who is actually in Provo, Utah. In Provo, a place where Jeffrey Epstein has been several times, several times. And listen, this should not be redacted. It should not be redacted, not at all. Let's move forward. I actually want to show you more. This isn't not, not the only communication that's in the Epstein files, not the only gotcha. No, this person who is traveling, whoever it is going to Provo, talking to him often. Jeffrey Epstein has been in Provo, so he knows the layout of the area. He's talking to him often. He's talking to him about the people. Okay, let's keep going. Now this is there you go. Shall I tell Antoine then that we are going to Provo in case he comes with a few girls, since David's not coming? And then Jeffrey Epstein just replied, yes. So whatever it is, they're going through Provo. Okay. Now I can actually show you why I believe that they're going through Provo. And before we go forward, actually, before we really get into this, because I just wanted to show you that Epstein does have dealings in Provo. Actually, let me just show you a couple more, just real quick, just so you know. There you go. Fuel stop from Larry Visosky. All as well. Just landed at my third fuel stop, Provo. So Provo was something over the years that he's very, very familiar with. Okay. They even, talk to people from Provo about getting a cat through there, all kinds of stuff. So it's looking to me like a lot of people who flew out to Jeffrey Epstein's island actually flew out through Provo. And when Jeffrey Epstein moved throughout the country, he used Provo as a point to actually move. So this point in Provo that also shows up in the Charlie Kirk assassination is extremely important because this is where the Egyptian airplanes flew into, right? So if we're looking at these Egyptian airplanes that kind of flew into Duncan Aviation, remember Duncan Aviation? Okay, and that was from what episode was that? I can't remember what Candace Owens episode that was. Let me see here. Hold on. We talked about a lot of that stuff here in this episode, episode 285. So in episode 285, we see that Candace Owens is kind of breaking down uh, exactly who the families are. The Tyler Bowyer, Terrell Farnsworth, and who else? I believe she was talking about McCoy as well, the McCoy family. Um, there's a lot of these families that are interconnected in the back circle, where there's a lot of kind of nepotism that goes on, and they give each other jobs and positions and stuff like that. And their ability to do that is what is keeping them in secrecy. It keeps them together, if you will. Now, there's a lot of coalitions. Some of them may be Masons. Some of them may be ultra aligned with Israel. So you have, your factions and stuff like that. But when we boil it down to the very basics of human nature, we see that a lot of these people are tied together through family connections. And then not just a single generational family connection, we see it's actually multi-layered family connection. So again, in that episode, it was saying here, Tyler Bowyer is also suspicious, and we're going to get into all of that, right? And the Farnsworth connection, that is probably one of the biggest pieces that we're going to cover here, right? But before we actually get to any of that, right, let's go back because I got a lot for you. Matter of fact, let me open up that. You see all that right there? All these tabs down here at the bottom: one, two, three, four, five, six. Out of these six screens that are open at the bottom, we're not going to go through any of these. These are my next shows. So make sure that you're going to planbytie.com You're signing up for my pen pub. So one, so you can read my book called Planned, and two, so that you can join, turn on your notifications inside of the pen pub, and you'll receive a notification every time I go live, and then you can check me out when I do these shows, and you can see them live. I'm actually doing this show live right now. I'm testing out my architecture on this platform that I built and making sure that it can sustain for hours at a time through recording and stuff like that. While it's taking data, actually, I'm doing a screen share from my laptop directly through my pen pub because I want to give authors the ability to do presentations. So enough of that. Anyway, let's get back to this, right? Make sure you support me though, planbyty.com. So I want you guys to see this. Watch this. All right. So this over here. Because I kind of want to. Here we go. That was the right one. All right. Now we'll get out of there real quick. All right. Now, what I would like to do with you guys is I want to go ahead and there it goes. All right. I wanted to pull up this list here so that you can see. I know this is an extensive list. I know it's a lot, right? But I want you to be able to see that we are going to get deep into this. This is about 11 and a half minutes in, and I promise you guys, the rest of this video is going to be worth your time. So just stick in there with me. We're going to go over a lot of data. It's going to move pretty quick, but I promise you it's going to all be worth your time. Okay. So let's go ahead and make sure that we're starting out with the key thing, guys. I want to make sure that we're praying first. Okay. So if wherever you are in the world, if you're watching my content, we're going to pray over this. This is, as you can see on the screen, this is heavy information. Okay. This is not light information. This is not information that a journalist get to tell every day and feel great about. Once I tell you this information, you're going to know I can't take it back. I can't make you unlearn this. Once you learn what you're about to learn, you will know it forever and they will know who taught it to you. So, I assume a risk by just telling you this information. But again, my God is in heaven, not here on this earth. And I trust in God. I believe that Christ is king. I don't believe that any of these other, I don't even want to get into that. You heard what I said. Christ is king. So, let's go ahead and get into a quick prayer before we get into this information so that we can make sure that we're just guarding our souls and guarding our spirits. Father, as we look over this information and as we go through this, I ask that you just guide me in being able to say the right things. I know that we're not going to be able to cover every small, nook and cranny and every detail, but I ask that the larger, more prevailing themes are clear to the people who are listening to this, Lord. I ask that the information is as accurate as possible. I've tried to study as well as I can, Lord, and I thank you for the downloads and the ability to have the vision to be able to see this. So I ask that as this information goes out there into the world, that you bless the hearts and the minds of the people that it goes to, so that they can further this information and add the blessings that you've given them to be able to do the same thing as far as independent journalism is concerned. We thank you for our free voice. We thank you for the Constitution of the United States of America and for the protections that we are governed by within that Constitution. We ask, Lord, that that Constitution remain prevalent in our lives so that we keep our God given unalienable rights. But we already know that even if that changes, that we still get to keep those rights through you, Christ. So we thank you. We praise your holy name. And everybody say, Amen. So, with that being said, I just want to read to you just real quick before we start. And I'm sure I've lost half of you just by praying, but that's okay because this is not meant for everybody, just like heaven. So, um, but I do want to, address my fellow believers, and the world is, worried about addressing their people. I want to address my people. So, I want to give you a couple scriptures, from the word that, I love the book of Proverbs. So I kind of want to share that with you if that's okay. The first one is Proverbs 28:13. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. So I want to tell you that in case you're kind of lost out there and looking for your way back home, go ahead and take all of your sins, take all of that to Christ, right? The reason why these people over here are trying to create something called Judeo-Christian, everybody's trying to water down Christianity and what it means. They don't believe in Christ. They don't love Christ like the way Christians love Christ. They don't love them at all, as a matter of fact. So if you have anybody from Israel telling you that they put Christ as their savior, um, it's just simply, not true unless they're a Christian, unless they're, renouncing Judaism, basically. Um, and they're not going to do that, right? So do not let people continue to water down uh, your belief. Don't let people continue to take Christ away and water down what Christ truly means. They want to take the Noahide laws and all this other kind of stuff and make it illegal for us to worship Christ. Don't allow them to do that, right? So we want to make sure we share with our brothers and sisters throughout the world. Hey, if you need a place to call home, and we all do, I believe, you can find that place through Christ, right? You can find that place by just renouncing your sins and starting a journey in that kind of way and getting with some spiritual brothers and sisters and starting your journey through Christ so that you can have an honorable life filled with morals and values and goals and purpose. And that's what the enemy out here is trying to steal from us is basically steal our free will, our goals, our purpose, and usurp all of that energy for himself so that we basically become these mindless drones that are low in number, but if with high efficiency for their purposes only. That's what they want for us, right? So let me move on to the second scripture is Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. And I read that one because we all need to be reminded of that, including myself. And parts 1 through 3 over here, um, I got a part wrong. I got that part wrong about this gentleman right here. Now, I know he's still a part of the situation, so it wasn't, that big of a wrong, but I still had to listen to that, and I still had to come to the community and say, "Hey, actually, I think I'm wrong on that guy," and I've upgraded it a little bit, and it's just the angle was just a little bit off from where the shot actually could have happened, and it can only happen from a drone, right? So I had to make sure that I humbled myself to to listen to advice and accept what some of the people in the community were telling me. Why do I share that story with you? I share that story with you because a lot of us out here are not perfect. A lot of you are trying to bash Candace Owens. You're trying to call her all kinds of wicked, evil names and treat her just extremely unfair, extremely poorly. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I've never heard one person say Christ is king without holding a church sermon more than this young lady right here, and I thank her for that. I really do. She's a Christian. I'm a Catholic. We have a little bit of a different, pattern between Christians and Catholics. Um, and again, that main belief pattern being Christ is the center of everything for Christians. So I I applaud everything that Candace Owens is bringing to the table and that she's given this community and she's given to her friend Charlie, and that she's given the world. And I believe that history will remember her as the warrior that she is for this cause. And she's calling out everybody, even her own kind, and to see her calling out the people over there in Israel, to see her calling out even in one of the episodes, some of the things that were going on within the Catholic faith as well too. Ahead of her having Catholic events, this is a person that's not bought. This is a person that you can't purchase, and it's quite honorable. So I'm telling you all of that to let you know that no one out here is going to be perfect, but we have to keep fighting to get this information out. Okay. You have to keep fighting. And then if you get something wrong, be willing to say, hey, I got it wrong, or here's my updated information. I went back and studied it and looked at it. I made sure I put corrections in that video so people aren't misled. I put corrections all over the description and comments and all that, stuff. So just making sure that people understand that, hey, look, I want you to have the same, I want you to be in the upgraded level of thought instead of, my mistakes of yesterday. So it's okay to make mistakes, but it's also okay to correct those mistakes. And as the public, we should try to have grace for people. I think that's an important quality that a lot of people aren't thinking about anymore. So without further ado, 20 minutes has passed. I've said everything that I need to say. I've given you a basic outline of what we're about to get into here. All the rest of this is meat and potatoes. Tell all your friends, put it in the comment section. If you want to avoid everything that I just said, go ahead and tell them to start this video at about 20 minutes and 30 seconds, roughly about 21 minutes, and they can get all the meat and potatoes that they want. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Now, what does Elbit Systems, Epstein Island, Epstein's New York bedroom, and Duncan Aviation all have in common? I give you 5 seconds. Do, 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 do. Okay, that's enough. If you answered stripes, you are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, may not be that interesting to a lot of people, like, okay, so they have stripes, cool, what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. So the stripes here are a telltale giveaway sign of basically Israel's involvement. And this is why Epstein was so kind of hell bent on keeping stripes on all of his stuff in the blue and white patterns through so many of his things. It's just became a calling card of his. Look at his bedroom right here. If you look up here in this corner, right up in here. Matter of fact, if you're looking at this on the for the after show, I'll actually point it out to you right here. If you look right there, that's exactly where the his hidden camera was in his New York bedroom. So if you know, you know. Um, but other than that, you see the blue and white throughout. This was a common theme for Epstein. And this was his support for Israel. Now, what I mean by support for Israel, like, oh, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Okay. There's his Israel Defense Forces shirt. This is Epstein's butler. A lot of people don't even know who Epstein's butler is, right? And Epstein's butler for 18 years told you there's no way that he killed himself. And I actually possess documentation to say that they may have fudged his death. So again, follow me on planbytie.com, and that is one of these boxes right down here that we will be talking about that, and I will show you exactly what I found. And when you see it, you'll never, ever, ever forget it because you'll know that they're playing in your face. So with that being said, um, I don't believe that Epstein personally is dead. That's my personal opinion, based on all of the data, that's there, right? So, uh, all of these striped buildings and all of these things are absolutely linked together, and they have esoteric meaning and things like that. But they're linked together and they're linked to Israel. And you'll see even the Elbit buildings right here. I took a few more pictures just so you can kind of get an idea of it. There's some more pictures of the Elbit area. I'll show you all of that in a second. But all of this is linked together for a reason, right? This is basically the main crux of why I'm bringing you this conversation tonight, is because they tried to treat Candace like she was crazy for talking about the Egyptian airplanes that were landing at Duncan Aviation. Okay, they tried to treat me like I was crazy because I was telling you about Elbit Systems with over 20, 30,000 employees in Israel, but it is actually the IDF. Okay, Elbit Systems is the IDF. So while we sit here and treat me and Candace like we're just absolute nuts and loonies, we're doing the research and showing you the information from these places of how these people, interact. So let me just show you something. As a matter of fact, let's go over the points first. I'm going to show you how all these striped buildings and how all these things came together in my brain and how I eventually ended up putting it together and saying, oh, I see what you guys did there. All right. So the points that I have to prove to you guys are one is Elbit is the IDF, Israel Defense Forces slash Mossad. Super easy to do that. Two, there is no way that Israel, Elbit Systems, Duncan Aviation, two Egyptian airplanes, Elon Musk, Tyler Boyer, Terrell Farnsworth, Tom Burt, who is supposed to be Terrell Farnsworth's stepdad, and Provo, Utah, all just happen to be related on 9/10, and there is 100% absolutely no collusion whatsoever. That is impossible. In my opinion, guys, that is 100% impossible. Okay. And this is where everything actually starts to get good after that, right? Because just like the government doesn't want the public to know about Jeffrey Epstein's air and sea trafficking, the government doesn't want Americans thinking about government operated drones with lethal capabilities in American airspace. If these lethal drones start becoming a part of regular everyday conversation, it's going to expose the hand of tyranny that is soon to come. So they don't talk about it in any shows. They only see things about it every once in a while. My lady likes the Supergirl series, so I seen one of the drones attacking in a Supergirl episode. But you don't normally see a lethal drone in American in American media because it's a reality of overseas. It's a reality of the war zone of Palestine, right? A lot of people don't know that, right? That they're using these drones in Palestine to unalive people, and not a little bit. It's not the drones that you're thinking about either. Matter of fact, let me just be very clear about what kind of drones I'm actually talking about here, so that um, this is a real deal kind of thing. They have those really long drones, but then they have these other drones, right? I'm going to show you real quick. Just bear with me 1 second here. I've got a whole bunch of tabs open, so bear with me 1 second. All right, now take a look at this, guys. These are the drones that I'm talking about. The drones that actually have guns on them. Now you'll say, hey, this is a cartoon. What are you doing? Well, trust me, it won't be a cartoon for much longer. You see how those are the normal drones that you're used to seeing right there. But these are the drones right here. Those drones are the ones that are coming to a neighborhood near you. Okay. This is very real, guys. This is very real. I'll be covering, listen, that's again a part of that tab series down here. That is another one of these tabs. I will be covering domestic drones in this country that are going to that are being built right now as we speak. Okay. They're being built right now. So I'll be covering that within the next couple days. So make sure you're following me again, on We Are Not GTM on X, and We Are Not Going to Mars on YouTube, and make sure playingbyty.com, on my actual pen pub. Um, so make sure you're following me so you can get that information. This is critical times that we're living in where this information, I'm just being honest with you guys. Having this information could literally be life or death for some people. They're not slowing down. They're going to keep producing these drones, and people like Charlie Kirk are going to keep being affected by this because why? They're trying to target freedom. They're trying to target truth. They're trying to target free speech. So they don't care. They don't care at all that they're taking lives to do it. Their goal is power. Okay. And if they can take a life to get the power in their belief system, they actually get more out of that. Okay. So as you see going on the screen right here, and it's kind of just really sad to see. But this is what Elbit actually creates, right? And I'm not going to play the audio. This video is already actually up. You can kind of go to my X to see it if you want to, if you want to check it out. But if not, you don't really need to. Now, I like to say, hey, how many people died in that, right? In that clip right there that you just watched. And a lot of people don't realize that that clip is showing that drone unaliving multiple people in a span of minutes. Not a lot of minutes either, a couple minutes. The guy with the baby at the beginning, um, the young girl, and the mother had also an unborn baby. That's 5 lives from one drone. But you're not supposed to count those numbers. You're not supposed to understand that. And that's exactly the kind of tyranny that they want to put on us. It's not about ICE being in the streets. That's the distraction, right? That's important. Those boots on the ground are definitely important, and they're utilizing those to distract us on purpose, right? But their ultimate goal is to give ICE the capability to also have drones. And if they're treating us like this on the ground, what do you think they're going to do with the drones? I'll tell you what, the same thing that the IDF soldiers are doing with the drones in Israel, in the Palestine. Same thing that they're doing. Okay. So let's not kid ourselves about this company, Elbit Systems, and their importance here. And if you want to know, um, if Trump is in on this or anything like this, we can make it real easy. Check this out. Now let's read this together. Trump also contributed funds to help Israelis evacuate the Sinai Desert and resettle in southern Israel, near Egypt and the Gaza Strip, as part of an Israel-Egypt peace agreement signed in 1979. Did you read that? Trump contributed his own funds in his 30s, in his 30s, to help ensure that Israel was properly resettled. Can, Do you understand what I'm telling you? In his 30s, he was giving, think about, if you have kids or if you yourself are in your 30s, um, think about what you were doing in your 30s. Were you trying to give millions of dollars to a foreign nation to help them to get resettled properly? Probably not. Trump was. But yet they told us about Russia, Russia, Russia. And this is why I'm trying to tell people, listen, the Russia, Russia, Russia thing coming out of the Democrats was a distraction. So you didn't understand that this man is from Israel. APAC represents both sides. That was the hidden truth they didn't want to tell you. The Democrats wanted Donald Trump all along. This was a plan between Hillary and Donald Trump and the Clintons, and they're all friends. Donald Trump has been friends with Bill Clinton for many, many years. When Hillary and Bill just, got up and said that, hey, we'll go ahead and go before Congress and testify about the Epstein files, was Donald Trump's first reaction to that. Oh, that's a shame. I like Bill. Republicans should be I, they should be laying in the middle of the street, literally convulsing after hearing that. Like, I don't understand what more the man has to do to let you know that he is not a Republican. I've already done a lot of information to show you that he's already told you that he's not a Christian. He's already told you all of these things. So this video is not for that, and I don't want to get too far off into that, right? But I'm trying to let you know that our country has been compromised by both parties. I'm not making this video to appease to Democrats. I'm not making this video to appease to Republicans. I'm making this video for justice. I'm making this video because a young man was unalived by his own government, by the government of Israel, and very possibly other foreign actors as well. Definitely Egypt as far as their airplanes being involved. I can't say their government is involved, but I know their planes are involved. Okay. So this is a coordinated operation that happened on US soil, targeting an American citizen. An American citizen. And that's why I kind of left this screen open here so that you guys can understand. And I've been saying this for years, is that Trump is 100% a globalist. There's a couple different types of globalists. Are you your global citizen globalist, like the Democratic side? They've been hiding this global citizens program for years. Guys, look into global citizens for the Democratic Party. They have been holding a party in Central Park in New York for over a decade with all of the top bankers, all of the top politicians from around the world, setting up the global government right in your face. Global citizens on that side for the New World Order, right? On the Republican side, Trump is there setting that up now. That's exactly what he's setting up right now with the Board of Peace and with the new announcement that he just came out with about how he's going to change the government and do all of these things. He is trying to prepare our country for globalization. What is globalization? Globalization is a fancy way of saying the dollar is about to collapse and they're going to transition our financial system. That's it. That's it. That's all it's about. Now, I know you didn't come here for all of this, but it's important that you understand where we are as a country so that this information makes sense to you. All of what they're doing is a stage, it's a game. Real lives are at stake and people are being, killed, just like Charlie Kirk was killed. But at the same time, this is their game. And if you read right here, I'll go scroll up to the top so you'll see. This is what they do: ascension through transgression. Okay? Ascension through transgression. That's what the whole purpose of this island is for. Okay? The whole purpose of this island right here is so that they can go and do their rituals. This is why I tried to tell you that Charlie Kirk, I'm not saying he was on the island or anything like that, but I'm saying he was a part of a group, maybe a Mason, maybe something like that, like a lot of these guys, almost all of them are. Um, but he was a part of one of their sacred organizations, we'll just say, right? And as a part of being a part of that sacred organization or going to go kiss the wall like these people do, um, you take a vow, you take a pledge. You say, I'm on your side. I have a loyalty. I have allegiances to you. At the end of his life, Charlie broke all that loyalty and all those allegiances because he was being bullied by those people and his freedom of voice was being taken away. And I truly believe that he figured out quickly, hey, maybe I'm not in control of the boat. I thought I was the captain, but it seems like something else is running this boat besides me. I need to look around and do some investigating. And they said, no, you don't. And that was the end of that. I truly believe that's what happened here. So this was a very evil place with bunkers underground. Shout out to Luke Radowski from wearechange.org. This is an old picture I was able to resurface, and there's not really any mainstream media pictures of a bunker at Epstein Island. They don't talk about it. But Luke Radowski went out there himself. He's done great journalism throughout the years, and got us a good photo of this bunker. And you see how big it is. You could drive into this thing, right? So the what you're seeing here is not a game. What you're seeing is a lifestyle. These people have a certain lifestyle that they must live in order to get into power and certain levels of power. They're all friends. You'll hear Bibi Netanyahu talk about the Democrats. You look at this picture here. Look. They couldn't. I mean, geez, look how close they are. It's kind of gross, actually. Like, come on, guys. You know. So you can kind of tell that it's a big club, and we're not in it. We're not in it. They're all in it. That might actually, I think that's the real Biden. If you know, you know, right? Um, so it feels to me, excuse me, it feels to me like a lot of people are. they're ready to find out what happened to Charlie Kirk. They're ready to know the actual truth. They're tired of being lied to by the government. Even if you were on the side of Erika Kirk in the beginning and hey, she's a grieving widow, we can't say these things, we can't do these things, we have to be mindful. Everybody is starting to kind of see it for what it is now, that something is severely off, that these people are orchestrating these maneuvers together, and that there is much, much, much more to the picture. All right. So, what I have up on the screen is we're going to go over the shot analysis real quick. And I'm not going to actually play the volume of the video or anything like that because it's not necessary. If you want to go see this video, you're more than welcome to go see it on my channel. Um, but I wanted to take the chance to kind of go through some of it so that you can see that there's just so much that's not being said about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and as far as the two shots that happened to Charlie Kirk that day. And it's quite unfortunate because when you start looking at a lot of the details, you realize that they're not telling you the truth. You and I know colors, and if you can see the color like I can see the color on the screen, what color does that look like to you? Okay. So when I say Charlie Kirk was shot in the back of the head, and this is the region that he was shot in a downward angle through his head, that's exactly what I mean. I didn't take thousands of hours to recreate and do all of this to be wrong. Like, I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything like that, but I've received so much hate online that it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it is bots coming out of Israel or wherever they want to come from, but they're not going to shut me up about this. I know what I'm looking at, and most logical people do know what they're looking at. Look at the indention of the hair right here. Look at it. Look how the hair has been disturbed in this area, probably from the immediate matting of the blood that is starting to form in this area, in the redness that we start to see on the ear right there as well too. So this was the entry wound area, and as you can see right here, even the discoloration up in this area right here, right? So it's quite clear to see that Charlie Kirk was affected in the back of his head during the shot, but nobody focuses in on that. Look at this. Now, this is just with me using different lighting techniques just to see if there is any anomalies within the lighting of the back of the hair. And look at what it picked up. All of this area right above that ear, all of that area right there, exactly where I said it was the affected area. Now, this would just mean that something else has transpired at this part of the hair that hasn't happened with the rest of the head. Okay, so again, this video isn't to go through the whole shot analysis again. I've done all of that in this video, and you're more than welcome to go see it. I'll make sure that I have it all over my, you know, have it all over my channel so that you guys can actually see it, right? And again, for everybody saying, "Oh, he was blown up." No, he was not blown up, guys, and he wasn't shot from the LC building. That's why the C2 and C7 were this way because the bullet came down right through here. We're going to move forward with that, and again, I'm not going to spend all day on this, but the infrared beam can actually be seen in the cell phone right here. This is the infrared beam that pops up on the screen from that angle of the shot. Let's go back to this angle of the shot so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Now I put a few assets in here, just a few, not a lot, just because I want to show you, some things. So this is where Charlie Kirk was sitting. I believe they paved over all of this because they know they lost that bullet. But this is where Charlie Kirk was sitting, and actually the construction crew, the main guy who owns it says, yeah, he was talking to somebody in an interview and said something about, yeah, and we know how to be discreet. I think it was an interview. But if you got some regular contract work, then why would you need to be discreet? Anyway, I digress. Um, but if we see the angle, right? Initially, I thought the angle was right here. Okay. Now you can get a shot from here and possibly down where it's a little bit difficult to get this angle right here. And this tent that was down here was raised up as well too. So what I begin to realize, and also what a good guy online, his name is Gideon. He's an engineer. he actually put a 3D diagram together to show all the possible angles and possibilities. And this window right here became the only place that it became possible to actually to get that level of an angle that would come down and hit Charlie Kirk in that way. So, and we'll go back into the video real quick so you can kind of see, what I'm talking about there. But when you know that, and you know that this infrared beam is right here on the cell phone, all the speculation about he wasn't shot goes right out the door, right? That's an infrared beam. That's what an infrared scope looks like when it shows up on a device like a cell phone, a reflective device like this, right? You're not going to actually see the line of the beam. You just see the end point of the light. That's all. But you can see it's not the actual camera that's in the middle of the phone or anything like that. And in midair, this is a still right here, but in midair, as you see, boom, as soon as that goes, watch this. In midair, beam and bullet. There you go. Beam and bullet. Let's go back and see it again. Beam and bullet. Okay, right here. Boom. Now, why did I show it to you like that? So that you understand that there is no tighter shock grouping of evidence that could suggest what happened to in the moments that Charlie was killed than seeing an infrared beam and a bullet hit his body. Does that make sense? Does that make sense that did you see that right there, that it's that easy to get one of those little quadcopters right there? Okay, and this was seen right after the shot. All right, so moving forward. Now, look, guys, two shots is what killed Charlie Kirk right here. This is extremely important. The neck expands, body is forced downward with a massive pressure causing the shirt to puff up. This is the body's hydraulic effect of a high velocity round entering at least 50,000 psi. That's 50,000 pounds per square inch. I don't know about you, but this is what they mean by if you get hit with a 30-06, it's going to knock off half your body because of the high level. And I believe the 30-06 is higher than this, or at least at this. But because of the high level of pressure, okay? Now that pressurization, it cannot be underestimated how violent it is when it has that effect to the inside of a body. Let's take a look at that right now. So I wanted you guys to get a visualization to see exactly what happened to Charlie that day so that you can understand and nobody can talk you out of this and make you feel like you're crazy or anything like that. He was shot twice. There's the first shot. Right there, guys. It's right there. Nobody. And when I say nobody, I do mean nobody has slowed this down to be able to show you exactly that point of entry that I was telling you about. Right there, above the ear, behind the head. That's why I was able to come out through here. And this was an opening that eventually all of this blew forward. And when if you heard the audio on this, that's basically what I'm telling you in this audio is his neck tree trunked out and expanded. It was okay 1 second, like that, normal neck, okay? And you can see his kind of his mustache and beard line, shaving line, and all that kind of stuff right there. And then the very soon as he was hit, all of that was pushed forward and out. It's pushed forward and out because the bullet is coming through in its trajectory right here, as denoted by the bullet right here. It's coming down through here, which was able to break the C2, C7 with the sheer pressure of the cavitation, and which was able to open up a hole on the other side of the neck, even while crushing everything inside of his neck. Hence why Charlie Kirk's neck was broken when he fell over. Now, I'm not going to show that in this video. That's way too graphic. This is going to be on YouTube and everywhere else, so I can't show that in this video, right? But when he fell over, as a matter of fact, you can come to Pen Pub. I'll do it one night this week. I'll show you guys 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come to my Pen Pub. We'll talk about this, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about as far as when he fell over. His neck was completely broken. It was completely unnatural what happened to his neck. A lot of people don't talk about that, but that's another part of if you're going to give this data and this information, you have to give it all together at the same time, right? Now, You'll also notice that while we have that stream cavitation and that neck wound opening up, excuse me, we also have the front of the shirt doing this funny, weird thing, right? Looks like a puff is happening at the front of the shirt. Let's be very clear. Let's go back. Looks like a big old puff is happening in his shirt, right? That is not a puff, if you will. Let's go to it. I want to show you guys, right? Boom. That's not a thing blowing up under the shirt. There's a lot of, well-meaning, good intention people. That's what I would like to believe they are. That think that the microphone blew up. It did not blow up, as you can see. Charlie was already hit by the first shot, and the microphone is still attached to his shirt. He's going to be hit by the second shot when his shirt goes up in the front, and the microphone will still be attached to his shirt, thus ruling out any. There you go, right there, ruling out any suggestion that this microphone in any kind of way played any kind of role in Charlie Kirk's assassination. It did not. All right. And the microphone is still attached, The neck wound begins to open here. And for the first time, we see it coming from underneath the shirt. It's already starting to egg out, if you will. And we see it really start to open up there. Now, for you guys and girls that don't understand what neck cavitation is and what the pressure of it looks like, here is a tape measure that's on a table and a gelatin kind of thing that's placed on the table that he's going to shoot around through, right? The amount of force that goes to this heavy block, okay, this heavy pure block of gelatin or whatever the substance is still going to even make this one little tiny round is going to cause a big old bubble and make this whole table shake. Pay attention. Look at that. Did you see? Even the Look at that. Even the tape measure went flying off of the table. And it happens within hundreds, maybe thousands of a millisecond. You cannot see it with the eye. It's impossible, which is why you couldn't see with the eye what actually happened, because two shots happened at the same time to confuse you. The first shot did this and came out of the neck. I don't think they intended for the shot to come out the neck. The second shot is this hole that you see right here in the center. Now, I hope you can really see that. I'm going to use my pen just to circle it a little bit tighter. That hole was not there, guys. Let's go back a frame so you can see. Okay. I want you to see it real quick. Matter of fact, let me just erase that from the screen and we'll just go back a frame and we'll play it through, right? Watch. There's the hole. That's how the shirt flew up right there in the front. There we go. Let's keep it going. Oh, sorry. I think we passed the zoom out portion. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick. There we go. This is the kind of stuff where you got to just sit down and look at it for a period of time. And once you do, you can start to see, oh, okay, I see what happened there. All right. We can kind of see his shirt is settled. There's nothing going on with his shirt, nothing at all. Everything is good to go. Boom. And right there in that moment, this hole pops up. You can see a little bit, it's not as defined when it's zoomed out, but you can see the center. I'm going to draw it on the screen for the folks who are watching this afterwards. You'll be able to see the drawing on the screen. But you can see where the pressure is pressing up against the shirt, and you can see where the shirt actually goes up. The shirt was poofed out at the top. It was initially poofed out at the top. And then once he got hit, the shirt actually went up like that because the bullet came in from a little bit from Charlie's left, and it hit him from that side from the left a little bit, which caused the poof, that ripple in the shirt, to go upwards, but caused this shot that hit him flush in the center. It was a lower caliber shot that hit him, and it was only supposed to sell the force that was needed to send Charlie's body backwards, because they knew that they were shooting him from behind, and he had probably a possibility of falling forward. So if you counterbalance that with a shot from the front, you can send him backwards and still say that somebody shot him from the LC center. It's that simple. I know it sounds complex, but it's that simple. And if you're somebody who's a nation state doing an operation, then what I just said is extremely simple. Okay. This was an operation that was done to fool you, to make you believe all these electrocutions and things blowing up and things that did not happen, right? This is exactly what happened. So I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of this backstory. We're almost an hour into this. We're done with this portion of it, right? You kind of understand the two shots that happened to Charlie Kirk, and how they happened. We'll go through it a little bit quicker now because I've kind of already talked through a lot of that already. This way you can we can get to it quicker. Now, this is the guy who shot him. Again, I've never seen anybody fix their sleeve and they're fixing their sleeve. They recoiled their hand at the same time. Sorry, I still got that on the screen. There you go. I've never seen that before, right? Uh, to me, that's very odd. And it's beyond odd because you'll be able to see, actually the fact that the man has the what do you call it? The actual bullet coming out of here and everything. He's been caught, and nobody fixes their sleeve and their hand recoils at exactly the same time that somebody is shot. That's not how that works, guys. Instead, what we see here is the recoil of a hand. Look at that. Now, they don't want you to see the recoil of a hand. Okay. They're hoping that you don't see that. But there's another camera that actually did catch the recoil. Look at that. Nobody's fingers just does that if nothing happened. You understand? Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So we don't need to be conspiracy theorists for us to be able to explain exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk, how it happened to Charlie Kirk. Now, let me see if I can find you the try to go through here and right. I'll make sure I have the Jimmy Dore clip up here for you guys a little bit later on so you can see that. I might actually have it in here somewhere. There you go. And also, let me show you this real quick while we're here. Uh, this is an operation, guys. Look at what he's doing. Okay. Steps into the sunlight a little bit. This foot steps back a little bit. He pats a couple times. In the moment that he does that, Charlie Kirk is shot. These guys are on comms through their ears so they can hear what's going on. That's why they keep looking down at watches and McCoy is over here. They keep looking at each other and all this other kind of weird business going on, right? And then simultaneously, while all of that is happening, that's why I said you can't ignore evidence, guys. So many people are just ignoring the evidence that is here while all this is happening. Okay. Now we get an infrared beam at exactly the right time. Boom. And Charlie is shot. His hand recoils at exactly the right time, and Charlie is shot. The shirt goes up at exactly the right time. There's a hole in exactly the right spot. There's red blood on the back of his head here in exactly the right place. This guy's doing exactly the right symbol. All of this is happening at exactly the right time, but I'm supposed to ignore all of this, all of my research, everything that I've put together to look at this holistically and say to the world, no, Tyler Robinson did it from the top of the ELC Center. And all of this is just, just coincidences. That's what they call it. Coincidences. Come on, guys. No one believes that, right? This is not a coincidence. And the drones that were on site that day are not a coincidence either. Okay. These drones are high level drones that were in the area that are not a coincidence, flying away fast. None of this stuff is a coincidence. We've already taken out any insects or birds, so I don't have any insects or birds in my footage. This is my pure footage of going over all this stuff myself and, frame by frame looking for these things. And there's more drone footage. I don't even have all of it in this clip here. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of it so you can understand exactly what you're seeing. Charlie Kirk was shot by a drone, period. He was shot by his security detail in front of him. He was shot by a drone. Two shots. That is exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk. They did not risk leaving that drone shot up to an actual human because the platform is better than a human. Okay. Yeah, I said that. The platform is better than a human. It can provide better angles, better precision. Um, there's just a lot. There's a lot of details. You don't have a gun that's on the ground after it happens. You can just fly away with the weapon, which is why we'll never find the weapon. It literally flew away, quite literally flew away. Like I was just showing you how that drone flew up out of there. Okay. So again, we've covered enough of that. We are at an hour now, and we just hit an hour. So I believe that that goose is already cooked. All right, we've broken all of that down. All right, so we're done with that. We already understand. As a matter of fact, let's go back because I do want to go over the ascension through transgression a little bit. Let's cover that for a second. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit here. I want you guys to see something, right? So when we're looking at these colors and you're looking at the black stripes on the building up here, let me scroll back up real quick so you can see that. And you're looking at the black stripes on Duncan, I want you to understand why I'm saying that this is from Israel. Okay. I don't want you looking at this saying, oh, the blue and white stripes don't match the black stripes. You're really reaching here. No, I'm not reaching at all. If you know Israel's connection to Egypt and to Babylon, then you understand that Israel celebrates Egypt. They just do. They're intertwined in the background. They don't want to tell you that a lot of the Jewish mysticism comes out of Babylon. So this mysticism that's practiced through Judaism and practiced through, that the Zionists practice through Kabbalah and stuff like that. Um, this is directly aligned with Egypt. So the UAE has, you know, Israel and Egypt have been accused of using the UAE as a proxy to deal with each other so that Elbit can do business with Egypt and they can kind of slide some things in there. And I'm not going to get into all of that and go through all those articles. That's kind of over the top and just extra information. But I'm telling you that this is how all of these are kind of tied together. So, Israel is not a stranger to Egypt in any kind of way, and there's a long, rich history there, but we're not going that route. So I want you to see exactly where that comes out of. It comes from a place and from an ancient place, like a lot of things that they do. A lot of things they do have a lot of great meaning to them, and we'll cover that in the next slide after this. But I don't want to read through all of this. Actually, let's read through it real quick. In Mamluk architecture, which is the period style depicted in this bathhouse and imitated by Epstein, the alternating oblique pattern is meant to represent the Garden of Jannah, I believe it's pronounced. This is because the steps up into the garden alternate between silver and gold. The Garden of Jannah is basically heaven for all simplified intents and purposes. However, as the Mamluks practiced Islam, it is also the place where Adam and Eve lived before being expelled to earth. For simplification, the Garden of Eden. In that version of theology, though the expulsion was not a punishment for sin, it was done to send them out to experience hardships and gain some of the wisdom of God so that they could truly experience the bliss of paradise when they returned to the garden when life was done. With all of these elements, one can easily form a very twisted and jaded view of why Epstein chose this decorative scheme. It represents both the place where innocence is lost from humanity and where people return to experience endless pleasures of paradise. Kind of chilling when you know what was happening there. They use these patterns as a representation of their belief system, as a representation of the importance of the building, to go along kind of with the that whole theme of the ascension through transgression. And here's more of that here, and you'll see even Podesta here with the fish and the 24. Like this is very, very real esoteric stuff that these guys are into, and what they've done with these children and all these kinds of things. Now, this is the height of it, right? This is the height of it right here. And this is not what Charlie Kirk was involved in, not the height of it, but on the lower levels that answer to this. Imagine all your heads of states, all your big businessmen Folks like this guy right here, folks like these people in this picture up here, these business people that get to these higher levels. They go to this place because they are at the higher level. And at this place, they're able to obtain and access and achieve that kind of power based on their belief system and what they must do as far as uh, transgression for ascension. They want to ascend to a different place, to a different belief system, to a different power position in the physical life. So they must do a spiritual sacrifice. And herein lies where a lot of things that they don't want to talk to you about as far as the bunkers and what was really going on inside this building here. And this is why I tried to tell everybody, listen, this was a ritual sacrifice, a ritual assassination of Charlie Kirk. He broke the order, he broke the code, he broke his oath. Now, he was not at the top with the rest of those guys and girls, right? But he was in a place where he was under them. So if you're under those guys and girls, right? That means that you're still accountable to them. It means you're still in allegiance with them and you still owe your loyalty to them. And if you take that away, then one of these people who are sitting at these top organizations, the people who would have been the Epstein Island and the heads of nation states are able to look at him and say, hey, as an initiated, as a person who was initiated, you did not hold your oath. You did not hold your place. You did not hold your position. And then we came to you in the Hamptons and we tried to tell you, hey, no, we're going this direction. This is what we want to do. This is what we need you to do. And you still disobeyed. You still went against us. So they feel justified in what they did to Charlie Kirk. That's why Trump's reaction was what it was as soon as he was told about what happened to Charlie Kirk afterwards. Trump's reaction was very cold and he started to talk about the ballroom. I know I'm cooking right now, y'all. If I'm cooking and I'm cooking real good, I said I wanted to do this with no stopping just to show y'all that I know my stuff, okay? I wanted to do this so that you guys can see. No, I've really studied this stuff, okay? These people are, a lot of people think, oh, you got to go to school, you got to do this, you got to do that to attain this level of power. Charlie was a college dropout, okay? I cannot be more clear about that. Charlie Kirk was a college dropout. Now, I'm not saying that to demean him, but he's somebody who didn't want to finish college. Meanwhile, his wife is becoming having either she has a doctorate degree or she's about to obtain a doctorate degree in 2026. Some of my information tells me that it's her second doctorate degree that she's about to obtain, but she already has multiple degrees, and yet she's older with multiple degrees, attaining for more, getting her doctorates, and with a man who has no degree and a high school education, and less worldly influence as far as wisdom is concerned. Okay, Charlie Kirk was groomed. Erika Kirk was his handler. That's what was going on there. So, in case you guys don't understand how Charlie ended up in this position, he ended up in this position because of that woman. That's why. This was an operation that was set out to control his movement. He had already got the wheels going. He had already got things moving, right? So they needed to have a way to take Charlie Kirk down, and they found that way. And now that Charlie Kirk is that they've taken him down, they've completed the circle, okay? And in completing the circle, um, they're turning their back on Charlie, and they're being rude and disrespectful by even posting this like this because they're basically saying that Charlie turned his back on you. Hmm. These people are sick. They're sadistic. There's something wrong with them. And this is not a good graphic. And it says so much about what they think about Charlie Kirk as they continue to use his name, his branding, his channel. I've covered everything that the honeypot has done. Everything. Because she's making money with the Trump family, with the book, the Stop in the Name of God book. I call it the Stop God book. Look at the publishing that she's with. She's with the Trump family. They're making tens of millions of dollars off of Charlie Kirk's death. off of his assassination that they were a part of. All right. So I know I'm giving you a lot right now, but we about to cook even further. Okay. So these people have an esoteric belief system. Trump has been tied with them since the 70s. He's been loyal. He's been in bed with them for a very, very, very long time. The same thing is true with Epstein. He's been in bed with them for a very, very, very long time. That's why these guys were friends. They have the same handlers. They have the same people. What do I mean? The same handlers. Like people think that it's a joke that these females end up in these powerful men's lives. Okay. These females don't end up here by accident. You have people who are handlers, and then you have people who are kind of like the prize a little bit. You know, she's very empty vessel and she's perfect for the role of what, Israel needed Donald Trump to fulfill. They needed him to have the right kind of woman. So they made sure that he had the right kind of woman by his side who's not going to tell, who's not going to challenge him, who's going to be happy with the privileged life, who's going to shut her mouth. And then there's the handler always makes sure that these men are doing what they're supposed to do, that they're in the loop, that they're on time, that they're making the meetings, that they're sharp, that they're ready. These women are not innocent. Ghislaine Maxwell needs to stay where she is, and she needs to be under the prison, in my personal belief. Okay. These people sit with the Rothschild family and all these other people at the highest levels and plot for our demise. They use handlers, okay, to make sure that decades long plans are actually met and that they actually happen. All right. And this is why I say Charlie Kirk was on the inside. Now, he didn't know. He knew he took probably the pledge to be able to do what he needed to be able to do, right? To secure the funding, to get to the bag, all of the things, right? But he didn't understand the true consequences that came with it. He didn't understand the snaking. Yes, the snaking right there that was happening to him in real time. He was being seduced. He was basically being weakened. He was being controlled. And I believe that Charlie Kirk realized that in the end. That's why I said it was an operation, and that's why I made it like this. And I said three patsies, two shooters, two distractions. That was the very basics. Was there more, possible other shooters, possible other distractions, or possible other patsies? Sure. But this presidential operation was meant to happen with this bare minimum of being just enough to distract the public, to tear them from their position of understanding, so they can argue and bicker and fight and continue, the divided things that they always do. And the government can continue to, usurp our power away from us as they try to dilute our constitution. So that's what we're going through right now, right? So we're living through a real coup of our government, whether it's the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, they're both bought, they're both infiltrated. And there's not a lot that we can really do about it besides not participate and start to build community locally and through our states, and then be able to challenge the federal authority in that way. That's going to be the best way that we can do it, to be able to break their hold that they have, the big money in politics on both sides. Everybody is bought and paid for. When you buy and pay for everything, who's listening to the American people anymore? That's what we're talking about here. So, all right, guys, let's move on. I'm ready to now get into some of the stuff that I brought you here for. And when I tell you that it is a lot, sure, we got uh, Epstein and his people moving in and out of Provo. Now, what I would encourage you to do is to come over here and to search Provo in these documents. As you can see, 87 documents just came up with Provo in it. So there's plenty of stuff in here that you can check out from Provo and Jeffrey Epstein and his crew going through Provo. Now, what I would like to show you actually, let me show you this real quick. Let me see if I can find it for you. Hold on. I want to show you something that I believe is a really great find. Let's see here. Maybe it was here. Let's go back here. No, it's not there. I have something for you up here. This. Okay. Now let's go look at Provo so you can understand kind of what's going on in Provo and why they feel so good about Provo. Guys and girls, this is Provo. Okay. This is when you drop down from Google and you look at it and you try to look around, you got water right here. I mean, right here. Okay. Oh, look at that. There you go. There's that. So you got water right here. You got the mountains out there. There's nothing around besides mountains, water, and this is Provo's Duncan Aviation right there. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see it from the roadway back here. Looking like a whole Egyptian setup back there. Okay. There's a reason for that. Now I'm going to show you that here in a second. So I want you guys to be able to see that so you can understand why they were picking Provo to go into St. Thomas down to Epstein's Island uh, because of the very discreet nature of where this is located. You can fly celebrities in and out of here, basically whoever you want in and out of here, undetected, completely undetected. There's not a soul around to be able to detect this, and you'd have to know when there. It's just a lot, so you're not going to do all of that, right? Um, let's get to the big meat and potatoes. So there's some things here that we have to uncover, and the rest of this is actually not going to be as long as you probably think it's going to be when you see all those tabs. It's going to be a lot shorter than that. So we are roughly about 116 in, a little bit past 116. If you want the part where the receipts actually start, that's right here at 116. Now, this is how I was able to figure out that Duncan Aviation and Elbit actually have a contract together. What is the likelihood that Duncan Aviation, where the Egyptian planes were going, okay, let's go back to the Egyptian planes real quick, just real quick, just real quick. And then go back to those Egyptian planes, just so you can see them, right? So I put one of them in here just so you can see it. This is the Egyptian government right here. Provo. This is what Candace was talking about the whole time. Provo and Wilmington, right there. Okay. Excuse me. You'll notice that this is a Dassault Falcon 7X. Remember that, right? Now there's two planes. So again, this is just one of them. And for the purposes of this video, I don't even need the other plane because we're not going to get into the specifics of each plane. That's not important, right? What's important is that you know that this is a part of the Egyptian government and that you know what make and model this is, a Dassault Falcon 7X, okay? Egypt, Dassault Falcon 7X, here it is right around that time before and after Charlie Kirk's assassination, all right? Now, if we know that Duncan Aviation has a contract with Elbit, Elbit, the only platform capable of taking that drone shot on that day, the only platform capable of taking that with the bird of prey platform that they've used in Palestine. If we know that these two things are connected together, let's see if we can even connect them even further. Matter of fact, let me just show you this. I'm gonna give you one more, just smaller connection, but it's a big connection right here. Egyptian airplanes, okay? Duncan Aviation, and Elbit. So if I did, as a nation state, want to launch a drone off of an aircraft that the that the weapon never ever touched the ground, and I'm able to also simultaneously have 12 anonymous Israeli cell phones on the ground on 9/10. There is nothing preventing my team on the ground from making sure, especially my professional team on the ground, who are Israeli Israeli people who are probably directly from Elbit, because there is an Elbit in Provo, Utah. I'm sorry, there's an Elbit in Utah, not in Provo, Utah. It's up the street, just a little bit up the street, but it's in Utah. So Elbit already works in Utah, and I've actually been where they work, not in the area where they work, but in the city, Ogden. I was out there a couple years ago for some business. Um, so this area of this whole area, Utah, in this area, in the Salt Lake City area, if you know, you know, it is a very, very big intelligence hub. There's a lot of stuff that happens under the ground there. Okay, a lot more than I care to discuss in this video. But with that being said, if we know that, and we know that they're flying out here and they're having these basically these private meetings that they can have in Provo without ever being detected. Okay. Is it possible and is it crazy to assume that they can also simultaneously use planes to actually launch the drones from? Because that is the capability of Elbit. Let's read it. Launched effects systems act as force multipliers, enabling manned aircraft to deploy unmanned assets that perform collaborative engagements to neutralize high value targets. Did you? I know I messed that word up, horribly messed it up, but let's go over it again. Enabling manned aircraft, meaning a Dassault Falcon, that aircraft, to deploy unmanned assets that perform collaborative engagements to neutralize high value targets. When they say collaborative, do they mean with the team already on the ground to engage with them right away? Is that what they mean? Because that's what I think that they mean. Why would I think that they mean that? Because their own propaganda tells us that. This is what the bird of prey swarm is, the front guard mission. They do collaborative missions with the soldiers that are on the ground. That's what this is all about. So when I tell you Elbit has the only system that had the capabilities to actually take Charlie out and you would never see the shot coming, and they could get the gun out of there without you ever seeing it. That's exactly what I mean. This was a very well thought out, high level operation that ensured that you stayed blind to these facts that I'm telling you so that you're constantly searching and searching and searching. Nobody would ever think it was two shots. Who would ever think something that crazy? Because it sounds crazy, but it's absolutely not crazy. So I digress. Let's move forward. Let's show how Duncan, and I'm going to show how critical this piece of information is. Okay. Watch this, guys. I want you to read this with me. Duncan Aviation has entered into a licensing agreement with Elbit Systems of America, LLC, to provide service and support for Intercontinental Dynamics Corporation products. The products were initially produced by IDC and later by Colesman Incorporated, a wholly owned subsidiary of Elbit Systems of America. I need my independent journalist to look into that. Elbit Systems of America, a subsidiary of Elbit Systems, previously authorized only 2 locations in North America as factory certified repair centers. Duncan Aviation is pleased to announce that the company has been selected as the only non Elbit Systems of America company to hold that authorization. Pause everything. Duncan Aviation, out of all the aviation companies in America, is the only non-Elbit Systems of America company to hold that authorization. This is how intimate the connection between Duncan Aviation and Elbit Systems of America is. This is how much they respect each other. When I read that, I almost fell out of my chair because I couldn't believe that this connection was right here in broad daylight. That the IDF, okay, who owns Elbit basically, it's the same thing. They're the tech branch of the IDF. The IDF that owns Elbit basically literally had connections right here with an airport right here in America. And then that airport, let's move it forward a little bit. And then that airport would actually have connections. Let's move forward. Let me show you real quick. You're not gonna believe this, guys. I'm trying to told you. I'm trying to told you. Duncan Aviation can now install Starlink SATCOM systems. Starlink SATCOM systems. Now, not just any Starlink SATCOM systems. Of course, we know who's Starlink we're talking about. For guys and girls that do not know what Starlink is, see that guy right here in the background behind Epstein, Elon Musk? Yeah, that's his company. Starlink is his internet-based company, global internet through satellites. Okay? So now I'm realizing that Duncan Aviation can now install Starlink SATCOM systems. Well, that's interesting because the communications that happened on that day, if they went through Starlink, then they wouldn't be happening on a normal grid. And if they're not happening on a normal grid, that's going to make them a lot harder to trace. So I'm just asking a question, Elon. If Duncan Aviation is in charge of installing Starlink SATCOM systems on these planes that comes in, into their airport, if they're in charge of that, right? Can we see the data from 910 for this location? Is it possible? I mean, I don't want to take anybody's personal data, but what I would like to see is if we have any data that's coming from a foreign actor that is in the Starlink system from 910. If Elon can give us that, since we now know that Starlink has authorized Duncan Aviation to install this in the airplanes. Now, you say, well, you don't know if it was installed in that Egyptian airplane or not. You're absolutely right. But do you remember when I told you to remember exactly what model that airplane was? Remember when I told you that? Let's go back and look at it one more time because you may have forgot. A Dassault Falcon F7 from the Egyptian government. Okay. What does Starlink say on their website? Is that a Falcon F7? 7X, I'm sorry. Is that a Falcon aircraft from Dassault Aviation? Yes, it's right there. A Dassault Falcon 7X. Dassault Aviation Falcon 7X. This is what we get when we read, guys. This is what we get. We find out what the truth is. So now we know on 910 that very likely Duncan Aviation was hosting these Egyptian airplanes and they had Elon Musk Starlink installed on the Egyptian aircraft. Why is that important? Because what did Bibi Netanyahu say about Elon? What did he say about him? You remember that? Just like he's holding Biden right here. During a press conference, he said the same thing about Elon. He said, Elon is a friend. We have to talk to Elon. He's a friend. Just like all these other big tech guys are friends of this Israeli government. Now, I don't know about you, but does that seem right? Does that seem right that our American social media tech giants are doing the bidding of foreign nations? That our president is doing the bidding of a foreign nation? Okay. In anybody's research that's out there, did anybody connect Starlink Communication SATCOM to Duncan Aviation? Did anybody connect that? I don't think anyone did. Did anyone connect Duncan Aviation, Starlink, and the Egyptian government and the Egyptian airplanes? I don't think anyone did. Now would be a great time to let you guys know I need your support. This is the level of information that I research. This is what I do. This is what I bring to the table, guys and girls. This is how I'm different. Now, I love my difference. I like being weird and different. That's just my thing, right? But being weird and different doesn't pay the bills. So, if you support what I'm talking about and if you like what I'm talking about, please consider going over to planbyty.com, getting my book. Come on, stop playing. I talk about access. This is from an old interview that I did 10 years ago, but it's relevant today. It's the only interview that I've ever done with somebody. A guy named Jeremy Dieter interviewed me. And I was trying to bring his radio show on to where my radio show was at, and he ended up interviewing me because we were having technical problems. And I gave a lot of tea out that day, and it was the only interview someone had ever done of me. And I give you that in this book. All I need you to do is support me. The book is not expensive, so it's only a few bucks. It's basically a coffee and a small breakfast or something. I think it's $10. Now and then I have specials going on from time to time with the I've had a special run in recently. You guys might be able to try it out. Maybe I'll start that back up. The using code CKO322 at checkout, and you'll be able to receive some money on actually getting the book. So come get access to this. Come support me in this way, please, because this information is not easy to put together. Do you see these tabs? That's just in here. And now I've only gotten you up to the point where we've kind of linked together and you understand that Duncan and Elbit are absolutely linked together. Okay. Absolutely linked together. So that puts Duncan and Elbit um, and all of these things right there in Utah, right there, not far from UVU. It puts Israeli involvement at an all time height. And when we think about how they were able to hide this Israeli involvement, right? Now we can look at Starlink and say, hey, wait a second, we have another piece of the puzzle. Can we take this Starlink information and go to Elon and say, hey, if you're really about all this stuff that you claim that you're about, all the propaganda that he pushes every day and all the divide propaganda that he pushes, then let's see if you'll divide from who your true masters are. We know. We know why you're a friend of that particular government because they own everybody as far as those politicians are concerned. They don't own us. Okay, let's be very clear. They do not own us. We belong to God. We are children of the kingdom, and we are entering heaven through Christ. So these people do not own us. Let's be very clear. But people like Elon and Trump and these people, they have pledged their allegiance. This is what I said Charlie had done. He pledged his allegiance, thinking, hey, if I don't have to give up my religion and I can just, join these guys and girls, that's how they trick you. They almost got me like that. Oh, we're just a fraternity. We're not, we don't believe all that stuff. We're just a fraternity. They wanted me bad. I got approved in everything. Man, I'll tell y'all that story one day. Got approved in everything. And God told me in my spirit, do not do it. And I did not go back. And I did not go back. And I got approved by a high lodge to be a part of that organization. I can tell you a lot, guys, guys and girls. I can tell you a lot. I worked next to General Abrams for years. I've seen so much. I've been in top secure places. I've seen and done so much. God has blessed me to be in these positions, in these spaces, so I can talk to you in this moment. We are in crisis as a country. We need help. And the help is not coming from the outside. Bush cut us off from the Nuremberg Treaty and the Nuremberg agreements that we had back during 9/11 on his way out the door because he didn't want to be prosecuted. He made sure that that fell through so that we wouldn't have to be a part of that. So that's why we can't, our democracy is a democracy that's not accountable to other democracies, which does not make it a democracy at all. It makes it a de facto dictatorship. But unless you know that information that I just told you about us not being within the Nuremberg Accords, not being anywhere in there, we're not signed to it. We don't owe them anything. Meaning we don't answer to that court, just like we don't answer to the International Court of Criminal Justice, I think it is, the ICCJ. So We're not accountable to anybody, guys. That's why Elon Musk, um, and all these people can operate uh, just freely at the top. They just operate freely, like they're not afraid of any kind of punishment whatsoever. Okay, that is not from a cockiness. They just don't feel like there's anything beyond them. So I would like to say we don't need to be beyond them to put them in check. That's what checks and balances are for. We know what our rights are. And if you try to take something from us, we get to defend it with our life, and meaning that you could lose yours. So no one's ever taken our Constitution from us unless they want to actually wager their life. And that's how you should treat your God given unalienable rights. Unless a person is or a government is willing to wager their lives, they shouldn't have that conversation with us because we're willing to wager our lives on our God given unalienable rights. So they're trying to put us all to sleep. Let's send that out to Elon and let him know I'm on his heels. I see you, bro. And I'm also making PenPub way better than, PenPub is going to be the point of dissemination for a lot of people. And people will disseminate their information from their PenPub into their centralized, censored social media accounts because they want to be here because I'm global, uncensored, decentralized. I built this. And I'm going to give this to millions of people if God blesses me to. Millions around the globe so that we'll never have to be locked into this censorship again. These people are crazy. This is the kind of stuff that they're doing behind our backs. They get to do this all day long because they play us like the Jewish call us goyim. They treat us like we're ignorant. And for the most part, a lot of us are because they have us so distracted by running on the multiple hamster wheels that they have inside the cage. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and take a look back at where we are on our list right here because I don't want to talk your ear off. In this one, I've kind of already proven one of the bigger points to you here. And I think that me being able to kind of, just walk you through it again, it's not a great path of like I'm not 1, 2, 3, 4 and just going in order like that. I just wanted to make sure I had a list here, a general list, so I'm basically making sure you get all of the information that's in my head. Now we understand the Egyptian airplanes and Elbit systems and Duncan Aviation connection. Now we clearly see that through Duncan Aviation itself. It's very clear to see, through their own writings of, you know, they're they're in bed together. This is a very real thing. Now this was the as you see up here in the URL bar, this was 2015 um, uh, the spring of 2015, and I'm sure they're still in business together. Um, but this is what we're talking about, guys. Like, these corporations are connected with the government, and they have these deals, these non-compete contracts on the back end that you and I are not supposed to find out about. Shh. We're not supposed to know about it. And we're going to get into now. I want to actually let me take you back over to the other page real quick and let's go down our list because there's a couple things down I want to get into. We already understand a lot of this, right? Um, I want to get you to this right here, but right before that, I want to get you to this. Okay. The Bowyer, Farnsworth, Fronsby, Burt family connections. Now, I say that I think that it's extremely important and imminent, right? But I saved it for last because I wanted you to see that the business connections could exist and were there without the actual family connections because one of these family connections may not pan out. And I'll explain that in a second. But I want to let you know that if it does not pan out, it does not negate the business connections that already exist between these places, right? So it is a fact. We don't have to sit here and speculate or anything like that. Duncan and Elbit Systems do work together, and Duncan is the only non-Elbit Systems of America company to hold an authorization. So it is a very intimate relationship, and Israel is and I say Israel because that's what Elbit is, right? Um, they are selecting Duncan Aviation for a reason because they trust Duncan Aviation. Okay, hence why the building looks like that, and Duncan Aviation works on Egyptian planes and they have black stripes on their building. Is that starting to make sense? Do you see what I'm saying here? They have black stripes on their building. They work on Egyptian aircraft, and Israel works with them. Is it all starting to look a little bit clearer now? This is what I mean by they tried to muddy the waters overseas and they use the UAE as a proxy to deal with each other, Israel and Egypt. But the dirty little secret is that Israel works with Egypt, that they are friendly. That's the dirty little secret, that they are friendly with the Muslims. Why? Because through the Kabbalah, that is what they practice. It's a Babylonian practice. They've always been friendly with them. They didn't want to tell you that, but it's the point of their worship and the gods that they really truly worship, the spirits, the entities that they truly worship. Anyway, we can get deep, 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 deep down into that rabbit hole, and I'll have some more stuff coming for y'all later. On that. We'll go over more stuff about that, but we'll let that stand where it's at right now, right? Um, Let me put it to you like this, guys. Let me go back over here. I want to show you some more stuff. We're going to go through some of these tabs real quick because I want to show you exactly on these family connections. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back over here. All right. I want to show you on the family connections between the Bowyer, Farnsworth, Fronsby, and Burt family connections. What I think is very interesting regarding Burt, right? So let's start with Burt. Now, in that episode from Candace, again, that episode, if you guys want to go back and watch it, I just got done putting up a post actually saying that this episode right here, 285. In the post that I put up, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. In the post that I put up, I talk about this pro tip. As an investigator, if you have missed a real Candace O episode, it is not old information. Watch everything. These are the hidden, there are hidden gems everywhere. Truly mean that, guys. I cannot state that enough. Truly, truly mean that. Go back and watch everything. And for you investigators out there, you're going to be able to pull out stuff. And now that you have this new information, you'll be hearing it with new ears. So go rewatch some of that content so you can understand what's going on, right? So, what she was able to uncover, again, this is kind of secondary to my information, but it fits in perfectly. This is the point where her investigative work and my investigative work are now merging together, right? And it merges together in one individual, Terrell Farnsworth. He was the individual who took the SD cards out of the camera from behind Charlie Kirk after he was shot. Now, there were other cameras that were there. I didn't see him running around to all the other cameras or trying to finagle or do anything with all the other cameras that were there. No, it was specifically the camera that was behind Charlie Kirk during the shot. And I truly believe that when let me just show you, because while I'm talking about it, I can show you at the same time. I truly believe that when you put the actions together, okay, of the individual who was giving the signal to take the shot, when you put those actions together with what actually happened that day, um, it, I don't see how anybody else could come up with anything else. Okay, let me pull that up for you right quick here. See if I can find him doing all that hand signaling, and I mean, it was clear. The man looked like he was running a baseball play. Like it was crazy. Here it is. All right, there you go. So there's no way that let's just say Terrell Farnsworth is on the know, he's on the inside of knowing exactly what happened. There's no way that Terrell Farnsworth is just another coincidence on that day out of everything that we just spoke about, that he would just coincidentally, after we see the beam and the bullet, after we see the recoil from the hand, after we see the all the baseball symbols here, after we see McCoy and this guy locking eyes and doing what they're doing, okay? There is no way in the world that it's a coincidence that Terrell Farnsworth, after his guy is shot and down and bleeding out, that his first thought is to go run and do a selfie video of himself, but then to come back to the crime scene, stand on the chair, get on this chair, and then take down the SD card from behind. Can anybody make that make sense? Okay. Now, the reason why, you know, Candace Owens was saying she feels really bad about him. She feels really bad about him. This is the part right here. I'm at a minute and 45. I'm sorry, an hour and 45 into this. This is the part, and tell Candace Owens at an hour and 45. This is the part where you might want to tell her and explain to her where a piece of her information came in as important, but I need her help. I need to verify this, right? We don't need it necessarily, but if we can connect this last dot to Terrell Farnsworth, we will be able to connect TPUSA directly to Duncan Aviation and Elbit Systems. What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is a part in the episode, and this is basically a recap of the whole episode that this person had put together right here. But in a recap of the episode, right, what we're noticing is this one section right here. Candace found out that Terrell's retired father in law, Thomas Burt, ran Duncan Aviation, which the Egyptian plane investigation uncovered rented cars out to the feds. You can't make this stuff up. Now, do you understand why we prayed in the beginning? You understand? Because this is how deep this is getting. If Thomas Burt is Terrell Farnsworth's father in law, he ran Duncan Aviation, not this facility in Provo, but a different one for a while. Okay. And from what I can find, it seems like I don't know if he still does, but it seems like he may still be right here now serving on several boards. See that? He was Duncan Aviation for 39 years and 10 months, 40 years. Give that man his last 2 months. But then he became a consultant. Now it says 2019 to 2021. I don't know if that continued on, if it closed out, if it reopened up. I don't know, right? But serving on several boards means you can be serving on a board that has something to do with Provo. Okay. But the sheer fact that this is an older picture too. The sheer fact that this could be Terrell Farnsworth's father-in-law is absolutely fascinating. I mean, it's absolutely fascinating, right? Now it is unverified though, because what we're starting to notice is, and the reason why I say it's fascinating because we have people like Michael Burt, we have people like another Farnsworth that are part of Tyler Robinson's defense, and I'm seeing these names Burt and Farnsworth pop up, and I don't know what's going on here, but I can promise you one thing: it feels all connected. It feels very connected. Who is Michael Burt? Michael Burt is the same guy who defended the Menendez brothers. Okay. So this is, he's been around for a while, for a very long time, and he's an older man now. And Michael Burt, Michael Norman Burt, there you go. There's his, he's able to practice law in the state of California. That's his website. So basically, you only call Michael Burt because you know him, and there's a reason, and there's a like you're it's an inside thing. It's not because he has a pretty website and he's the like oh his website was amazing and we read about all his work on his website. Nope, that didn't happen. Michael Burt is, in my opinion, an asset. in my opinion. That's just my strong opinion. Michael Burt, don't try to sue me. But I believe that he is an asset of the people that need him to be an asset for them. And this would not be the first time that they are using attorneys to be able to get their way. Okay, and from that, I don't want to beat that up too long as far as who Thomas Burt and Michael Burt are, but I do want to show you how Elbit has been able to um, they're basically buying up all the tech companies in America, all the tech companies that have contracts with the government and already have security clearances in place. They're buying access to the back end of our military and our federal government. But I want to show you something else here. Let me see if I can find it. Uh, let's get on to, hold on. This Elbit, hold on. No, that's his. That's there. All right, we're gonna keep cooking, guys. Again, all of this is live, so you're hearing and watching me do all of this right here in front of you, right? I tried to kind of put it in, the best kind of way that I can to make it easy for me to click through real quick. Um, but even then, it's still a little bit it's a lot of information that we have here, as you can see on the screen. Let me see. Here it is. I found it. Oh yes. All right, so excuse me. Elbit has been charged with the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. They got charged. A lot of people don't know it. And Elbit has a medical division. Now they're trying to act like they don't have a medical division, and basically Elbit Imaging and Elbit Medical were the same thing, and they phased out. But now under Elbit Systems, they're running a medical arm. So don't let them fool you. Elbit, the IDF, every time you hear me say Elbit, I'm just saying Israelis IDF are in the medical business inside of the United States of America. Make that make sense, right? So I'm happy that I built this platform again. This is Pen Pub right here, in case you forgot where you are, because I know it's kind of immersive, but in case you forgot where you are, you're in Pen Pub. I'm glad I built this platform so that I can go ahead and show you the screen share functionality like this, so I can show you raw information. This is what the news doesn't want to show you. This is what they don't want you to be privy to, because they know if you know this type of information, if you know this is what's going to wake you up. This is going to allow you to see, oh, there's something else that's actually going on here. Yeah, there's something else going on here. So you'll see Elbit Imaging. It's a long story, but they have hotels in the Netherlands and all over the place, right? That is no longer the case. All of that is, sold and all that kind of stuff. What actually ended up happening is whoever took over that part of Elbit took it in a bad direction and started doing the wrong things and was trying to build the wealth of the company and started messing up. Long story short, right? When they were doing business in the United States, they were basically using the Elbit Imaging as a shell company, and without any kind of you know functions in place to be able to prove where this money was going or what was happening with this money. And I want you to watch a keyword that I'm about to read to you in this, so I can show you how all of this stuff is connected, guys. Watch this. The Security and Exchange Commission today announced that it charged Israel-based Elbit Imaging for violating the books and records and the internal accounting control provisions of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act (FCPA). According to the SEC's order instituting a settled administrative proceeding, Elbit and Plaza Centers Nevada, an indirect subsidiary over which Elbit exerts functional control, okay, paid millions of dollars to third party offshore consultants. You mean like, I don't know, consultants like Epstein's? Never mind. Anyway, and a sales agent purportedly for their services related to a real estate development project in Romania and the sale of a large portfolio of real estate assets in the United States. Wouldn't you love to know how that deal worked and who the players in that deal were. Wouldn't you love to know? Now, this is another bomb that I'm dropping in the middle of this investigation. I have to tell you because if I don't tell you, they won't tell you. They will keep treating me like I'm weird or I don't know what I'm talking about or I've got this wrong. It can't be two shots. It can't be anything but two shots. It can't be anything but this group of people. These are the people. This is what they're doing. How did we end up back to Romania through Elbit? You didn't see that coming, did you? So stop laughing at Candace Owens. Stop laughing at Candace Owens. It's not right. It's not right. Sit down and read, do your research, and you'll find out that these people are playing in your face and that they think you're dumb goyim because you're laughing at Candace Owens because she's actually right by investigating and saying there's more. While the dumb goyim sit around and criticize. That's how these people in Israel view the Christians in America. Useful idiots. So while somebody is trying to unveil what Israel is doing to the United States of America and how she has her claws in us, you are literally doing the work of the Zionists by saying, hey, that woman is crazy. Yeah, she says Christ is king. Yeah, she's calling out all sides. She's calling out Israel. She's calling out, even if you're in Catholicism and you got the corruption going on, it is no holds barred. She is calling out everybody. So you're trying to tell me, even though she's doing all of that, she's wrong? And she's wrong for it? Stop. Stop, y'all. You got to stop. And that's my little Candace rant again. You're going to keep getting them because it's ridiculous that people, American citizens, are not using their brains. Candace Owens is not Alex Jones. She did not get dragged into court and then sell out and then come back as a sellout and everybody knew that she sold out. No, this is not that. Pay attention. All right. So let's keep going. Where were we at here? In addition, Elbit, I'm sorry. Here we go. Yes. In addition, Elbit and Plaza failed to devise and maintain sufficient internal accounting controls to provide reasonable assurances that the company's funds would only be used as authorized, rather than the funds being embezzled or used to make corrupt payments. As detailed in the SEC's order, they also failed to record these payments in their books and records accurately in a manner that fairly reflected the true nature of the payments. They failed all the way around. The SEC's order finds that Elbit violated sections that of the Security Exchange Act without admitting or denying the findings. Elbit agreed to a cease and desist order and to pay a $500,000 civil money penalty. In determining to accept the offer, the SEC considered Elbit's self-reporting, cooperation, remedial acts, and that it is in the process of winding down operations by selling its principal's assets. The SEC's investigation was conducted by John C. Lehman, or Lehman, whatever it is, Charles D. Riley, and supervised by Laura Shalav Marabin or something. I'm messing that up, but I will just say Laura of the SEC's New York regional office. Now that name is important right here. Let me show you, Laura. Now let's take it back to exactly what I was trying to tell you a second ago about the lawyers. Okay. This is real. I'm gonna try to keep it real simple for you. And this doesn't have anything to do per se with Charlie Kirk's investigation, but I want to show you how Israel is literally buying up the whole system and how they are creating favorable conditions for themselves by basically buying out the opposition. You look at Elbit and say, man, they can't be touched. And I've never heard of this before. And even though $500,000 isn't a lot, it is some kind of a penalty, right? My thoughts are this person and these group of people brought this action, against Elbit. But to sweeten them, for Elbit to not really, really be charged, and just to, little smallest slap on the wrist and not have to admit or deny any findings, they pay it, they put it behind them, but then they provide opportunities to the sharks. We say, hey, or they say, hey, your sharks are pretty good. They almost took us out. But look, we got a lot of money and we got a lot of resources. And, you went to school for all those years. I'm sure you want to advance your career. Yeah, we do want to advance our careers. Okay, well, yeah, yeah. Take care of you, get you into some positions, get you in some places, take care of you. Let's get rid of this SEC, this little SEC slap on the wrist thing, and take care of you guys. I'm not saying this happened, but I'm saying the next coincidence, because we should call this series the series of coincidences, right? The next coincidence is going to show you exactly that. Watch. So, John Lehman, he moved over and went to another job, but the person that I was worried about the most, right, is, let me see if I can find her. All right, there we go. So, Laura actually went over, and let me see, do I still have that open in here? I hope I do. Let me see. Laura went over and now works for, oh, it was probably in that window. I think I closed it out, guys, but we'll find it another time, right? Um, did I save it? Wonder. Let me see. Let's do it in real time. Actually, let's just see if we can find it real quick because I actually want to show you guys. I don't want to just tell you. We don't really need him as much, right? So let's go in here and copy that. Let's go over here and I want to show you guys. There we go. All right. So let's go over to Laura's page. Let's see what she got going, right? Laura is a partner. This is much more effective actually showing you. And do you see how effective it is to actually have a screen share functionality inside of PenPub? On the fly, on the go. We can do stuff like that. This is real time. So Laura is a partner in regulatory and enforcement group at Sidley Austin LP. She worked at the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission for 6 years and 10 months. I am not saying that Laura cheated her way into this place at Sidley Austin, but what I am going to say is that it's awfully funny that she would charge the company Elbit, they would get a slap on the wrist, she would go work for Sidley Austin, and Sidley Austin is connected to Israel. It is legal counsel for the Israeli government per their FARA file. That's what we're dealing with, guys. That's another bombshell. It ain't got much to do with Charlie Kirk, but it has a lot to do with Israel in the way they have their tentacles in our society, whether it's through the law firm, Sidley Austin. You'll say, hey, well, what is Sidley Austin known for? You want to know what they're known for? Let's see. What are they famous for? Watch this. What does it say right here? Famously, the place where Barack and Michelle Obama met. You cannot listen. You can't make this stuff up. So when I tell you it's a big club and they're in the inside and they have their certain players, and that's why all the presidents get rich after office, because they already have pre-set up law firms and corporations and stuff that are set in the inside inner structure that are friendly with uh all of these places that with the APAC organizations in Israel and stuff like that. It's all a big web. It's all a big web. Sidley Austin is not a small place. It is the premier place, the premier, law firm that you would want to be at if you're somebody like Laura. And if you just brought a case from the SEC against Elbit, and the very next thing you do is now work for, again, Elbit is Israeli and it's IDF. That's all it is. Netanyahu, ex IDF, the head of, the prime minister of Israel. That's all it is we're talking about. How did this person that's a part of the United States SEC end up now working basically for Israel? I'm not saying she works directly for Israel, but I am saying that based on her partnership with Sidley Austin and their FARA filing, that she does work on behalf of Israel. That's a bombshell, guys. This is what I'm talking about as far as reading and understanding what we're actually reading. Okay. So in the Epstein files, I realized that Elbit was not exactly connected to, um, directly that I could find, to Epstein, but it was, as far as all the financial projections and looking into stuff and seeing, I see that the documents that Epstein was looking at, went over Elbit and covered Elbit several times. So that way, and I don't even know why this is blanked out. That doesn't make sense. They blanked out so many things that are just outrageous. But out of all that redaction, I was able to, realize that Elbit is a major financial player. Let me get that off the screen. Sorry, guys. Elbit is a major financial player in this in this ecosystem that they have going on. And why wouldn't they be? They employ 10, 20, 30, 20 to 30,000 people or more, from what I understand. And that's in Israel alone. And then they employ another few thousand people right here in the United States of America. That's what we're talking about. This is a big club, super big club. They have a lot of jobs for each other. They work with each other. It's all nepotism, international nepotism. That's what we're talking about. And shout outs to Americans for Nonprofit Transparency. We're about 2 minutes, 2 hours into this, 2 hours, 6 minutes. Um, Go to this website. This is going to become a very important website. I'm telling you that right now. I just found them last minute. He just popped up the other day. I just shared this information and told him that I needed this, and he gave it to me, and I'm presenting it to you guys because I didn't know this, right? I had the connection between the Obamas, but I did not know this. This is huge. So go support this website as well. I'm definitely going to give people who are doing great, excellent work like this endorsements. And we need to get in the habit of that. And they don't have to pay me to do that. I'm not being paid to say anything, extra for them. It's just a great tool that this person has built. Um, so guys, let's get back to the list now. I don't want to get too far off track here, but I want to, I'll kind of have to show you guys how Israel is controlling everything that we're talking about, right? They're not just some, group standing by in the background and things are just accidentally happening to the Israeli people and all this and that. And no, these people are architecting basically everything that you see happen around them. And they're making these things kind of happen, if you just want me to be honest with you, right? So we didn't get much all the way into the family connections. I'll kind of go back over just a piece of that, really, because again, I can you can go back to that episode and watch that episode if you like. And where's that? I'm sorry, guys. I gotta flip through here. There it is. Okay. Um, so if you go through this episode, you can see that the Farnsworths and the Boyers, they have a very close connection over time. They grew up together in the same high schools, um, you know, uh, running public offices and stuff like that. These are the meat This is the meat on the bone that I'm leaving for you guys so that somebody can do a fancy chart and kind of place all these connections together, right? Bowyer is also close to Terrell's family, and Terrell's father, Dwayne Farnsworth, first cousin, is Arizona Congressman Eddie Farnsworth. So this is why I'm confused about Terrell's family, because if his father, um, Dwayne Farnsworth, if his father is Dwayne Farnsworth, I'm sorry, then uh, I think he said his father-in-law is, and again, I have not been able to confirm it, but his father-in-law is Bert. If that is the case, the Farnsworths and the Berts, I need more information on that. I need to find out more information on how that all works, right? So I would need definitely you guys help on that. I believe one of the investigators out there named Mia covers a lot of this kind of stuff, and I need some help on kind of figuring that connection out. This is an interesting connection between the Farnsworths and the Burts, in my great opinion here. Okay, my humble opinion. Sorry, but excuse me, guys. I'm definitely getting hungry here. I'm going to try to wrap this up here soon. Just kind of scrolling through to see if there's anything of mass importance that I need to give to you guys for any reason. Um, no, I gave you the biggest piece here. Candace also found out that Terrell's retired father-in-law, Thomas Burt, ran Duncan Aviation, which the Egyptian plane investigation uncovered rented cars out to the feds. So we have did they rent the cars out to the feds, or did they rent the cars out to the 12 Israeli cell phones that were on the ground that day? Huh. Think about that. Did they rent the cars out to the 12 Israeli cell phones that were on the ground that day at UVU? This is the deep connections that we're talking about. The work that I've given you guys today has massive implications, especially if you guys get it out there and really amp it up the way that it should be. I'm just going to be honest, the way that it really should be. Okay. So I want to move forward a little bit. I want to show you something else. I think there's great information, more information that's, uh, very valuable that we need to know. Um, and it's going to help us out a little bit. So, the reason why they don't want you thinking about any of this stuff is because in places like Romania and Florida and all these places, they own property. They have connections at the airports. They have connections. You saw just a second ago, Elbit was in embroiled in a scandal in Romania for real estate transactions. Again, I'd love to know more about that, right? But basically, the billionaires they only want you thinking about the land. They don't want you thinking about airplanes, and they don't want you thinking about boats. This is one of the most damning things that I think can come out of the Epstein investigation, altogether, the Epstein files, is that this is what these people do. They buy up assets. They don't tell you what these assets are. These are Epstein's marinas. If you've ever been to any of these marinas, especially during this time frame, Epstein owned it. You don't ever hear about marinas that Epstein owns. What do I mean by owns? I mean exactly that. Per Jeffrey Epstein, whoever he was sending this to, that they felt the need to redact for some odd reason, but thought you might find what we own interesting. And his executive assistant sent that to him after Andrew Farkas, maybe, or however you say that, I don't know, sent that to Leslie, which is the whole list. So I'm going to guess that Andrew is privy to the real estate holdings. Okay, different countries: Dubai, Italy, the Bahamas, all the islands, St. Thomas, Martin. Okay, this is what we're talking about. If you think that Epstein got unalived in a prison and didn't go off to one of his locations and one of the many things that he owns, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Like there's nothing that I can do to convince you um that things are weird here, right? I've given you enough data and enough information to suggest that hey, all of this is very much so connected. Now, if you want to believe it, it's up to you. But if not, that's fine too. So I want to kind of move on from there. I want to draw another point home, right? So let me go back to this here before we get out here, right? We're almost coming. We're coming to the end here, guys. Um, and we finished basically all of that. We just did the owner marina. This is the one we have left right here. This is the one I want to show you. Why am I showing you this? And it seems like it has nothing to do, nothing at all to do with Charlie Kirk or anything like that. Why am I showing you that? Why? Read this email. John Brockman hit up Jeffrey to, have him come out to this basically an art exhibition, an art event, we'll say. And at this art event, I guess that Jeffrey is a normal to that. And I'm showing you this so you can understand when these people try to tell you, I didn't go to the island, I didn't go to the island, I didn't go to the island. You didn't have to go to the island. You went to other countries, you went to different places and still met up with these people and still broke bread with them and ate with them long after these people have been in prison. And you're doing it behind closed doors in very intimate spaces and environments and building these relationships and these talking points and all of this governance done behind closed doors and you just never know about it and they're able to conflate and say, I didn't go to the island look in the Epstein files, you don't see me going to the island, even if we see you being thirsty as hell to go to the island, excuse my language, but if we see you being thirsty to go to the island and maybe you didn't make it there, but you're acting like you're not a friend of the person and like you don't show up in the same places because you're in a very tight crowd. I'm going to close out this conversation and this part of the investigation with basically this email. We could, go over the rest of this kind of stuff if you want, but I don't feel the need to kind of go over, all of this that I have here because I believe that you guys are kind of in the know now and you have more than enough. I'm going to cover that letter in another one. No, that's not going to be for this. So I want you to kind of see something here, and I'm going to take you down this last path. And when I do, you're going to be very appreciative to understand exactly why we decided to go this way. So, right now, Benjamin Netanyahu is using his influence, his power, and control to convince a lot of people that um, basically that we should all be censored in the West and that anti-Semitism is on the rise and that the Jewish people are being threatened, the modern day Jews I like to call them, not just Jewish but the modern Jews, that they're being threatened and all these other kinds of things. He's trying to shut down democracy, he's trying to shut down, um he wants us to stop speaking so freely so that we don't topple what his plans are, right? Let me see if I can go up here. All right. So what I'll just go ahead and show you is as he's trying to make sure that he shuts down our plans and all these things, he's holding a tight circle of people who are tech giants in the background, right? Your Bill Gates of the world, your Elon Musk of the world, uh, all these people. Mark Zuckerberg. Is Bezos on here? Let's see if Bezos is on here. There he is. Here, Bezos. All of these people. I'm gonna read this to you, but I want you to pay attention to the language of this and why I'm actually kind of reading part of it to you. I'm not gonna read the whole thing to you. I'm gonna read pieces of it to you. All right, let's go. Here we go. You see all the names up here. I'm not gonna read through those. Jeffrey, not to be missed. Seriously, one of two hot projects for September. Second invitation later. Could use some help at farm. Check it over the weekend. The Edge Masterclass on art for the weekend, September 26th and 28th, is coming together. I am pleased to invite you to attend as a guest of Edge. As with all Edge events, there are no charges other than taking care of your hotel reservation. So there's no charges for this. Okay. These people are just getting together to do this. The event will be held at Cavallo Point, a high-end resort 21 miles from in SFO in Fort Baker, in California. Now, let me see. Um, do, 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 do. The class will be held by Hans Ulrich Obrist, co-director of London's Serpentine Gallery in Hyde Park, who in 2009 was ranked number one in the annual Power 100 list by Art Review magazine of the most powerful people in the art world. He was ranked number two in 2010 and number two in 2011. Blah 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 blah. A number of artists and architects will accompany uh, Hans. The first to confirm is the one at the very top of my list, Marina Abramovich, the number one performance artist in the world, the performance queen. What's it say? Oh, has whoever A has confirmed that she will attend. Do not miss this. I know you are busy. Get unbusy. Repeat. Do not miss this. So you can see that he's very, very clear. I want you here when Marina Abramovich is here. And whoever this individual is, okay, he obviously has enough pull to talk to Epstein in this way. And this is John Brockman is his name. Now, I think it's very interesting that he has enough pull, and then in kind that Epstein would respond, as always, any help you need, I am there. I don't know what the relationship is, but I know that if if you're looking to crack open the deep state, you have to start with these kind of relationships of the middlemen between people like Epstein to the whole cast, the whole crew. Okay. That's the whole cast. That's the whole crew. Now, they actually give them a name in here, and I wanted you to actually see that. Let me see if I can find that for you real quick because it was the first time that I seen this used, and I wanted to make sure that we actually were putting eyes on it ourselves, so that we're not confused by it in any kind of way. Let me see. No, it's not this one. So it might be another one. I'm gonna look around for this real quick, guys. No, not that one. Let's keep going. Because once you see this, I think this would be interesting to you. The way it was interesting to me too. That's for the notepads. Really weird business there. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. No, not that either. But they called them a name. This group of individuals, and I believe it was the Digitary or something like that. Let me see. Digital Visions, Digital Visionaries. It was something like Digitary or something like that. I'm gonna try to find that for you guys. But it let me know that they have their own little group of things that are going on, and we're not we're not necessarily invited into that space, of understanding because unless you have those kind of net worths that those people have on that list, then you're not getting into that space at all. You're not even gonna get close to that space, as a matter of fact. So I think that it's very interesting. I can't find it right now. I'll put it in another video a little bit later on. So make sure you follow me, guys, on X. I have a video coming out about that. But oh, there it is. Shoot, it's right there. I didn't even have to worry about it. So it's right here in this video. It's not coming out on X. It's in this video. Um, so it seems like they have something called the digitary, and I wanted to see what this is actually about. It Something is going on here in the art world, guys, where these guys are getting together. Tech, these big old tech guys, right? Here you go. This is what I wanted to find. Katinka Matson and whoever it is are inviting the digitary, i.e., the usual guests at our annual dinner. The following are confirmed: Larry Page and Lucy Southworth Page, Elon Musk, Tony Fidel and Danny Lambert, and the rest of the people. For all intents and purposes, this is who we're worried about. The very person who is authorized to install Starlink on Egyptian planes through Duncan Aviation at the behest of the Israeli government. I said all of that. Yes. And he is a part of something called the Digitary, the usual guest at our annual dinner. Now, I'm not saying that child trafficking or any of these kind of things are happening at this dinner. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that things that they don't have to meet on the island for them to start making their plans. Elon Musk is confirmed to go to the same exact dinner as Jeffrey Epstein. He cannot deny that. And who else is there? Marina Abramovich. You know, Miss Spirit Cooking, Marina Abramovich, mixing the bodily fluids together and to get the power and uh-huh. If you know, you know. How did we get here, guys? Elon Musk, Marina Abramovich, and Jeffrey Epstein all at a dinner together, an art dinner together. And then, if I'm not mistaken, they got the chance to spend the whole day. Um, There it is, right here. The agenda. First, it will be a day with Marina Abramovich, which is enough reason in itself to attend. Second, we hope to begin a discussion about expanding opportunities for serious aesthetic and cultural expression in the digital hubs of Silicon Valley and Seattle. This would involve creating a new institution on the West Coast with spaces in Silicon Valley and Seattle along the lines of a serpentine gallery. So they're talking about working together to build business, to do things that they want to do, but they're talking about building an art gallery, which all these people are individually rich enough to build their own art gallery in California if they wanted to, right? Let's just be clear. Um, but it's not about that. It's to me, it's much more, and it represents an exclusive society of people that where they need kind of your agreement to be a part of this, and for whatever deeper reason that this represents. So they want to move their operations to California, or they want to talk about it during this time that they're spending it together. Now, can you imagine Jeffrey Epstein, Marina Abramovich, and um, Elon Musk all having conversations together about what they want to do in the United States and where they want to move galleries and do? This is what I mean by you don't have to go to the island. This is exactly what I mean. Don't let Elon Musk gas you up. Don't let him fill your head with lies. Don't let him use the marketing. He's using a marketing concept that is very, very popular. Is basically to drown you out and to keep putting over and over and over and over again in front of your face. I didn't do something. This person is bad. I didn't do something. This person is bad. So that way, it's obfuscation. He doesn't. He knows that if he does that enough times, it puts the stench off of him and onto somebody else, and he's able to stay cool, level-headed, and hold his position for a little bit longer. We see you, dog. We see you and we're exposing you, Elon. We're exposing you. We see you. So you guys do some homework here. Feel free to do some more research here. I've gone through just about all of these tabs, I believe, all of the important ones. You can see that Jeffrey Epstein has got something going on with Provo. They're in and out of Provo. There's a lot of other Provo stuff I didn't show you. Just dealing with his sale of planes and all kinds of stuff. There's even one in here where he's his plane or whatever was in my little hometown that I'm from in New Jersey. I grew up by a private airport in New Jersey, or not far from one anyway. And then I lived by it as an adult. I had a little small house by it. But excuse me. But this level of cooperation between these people is not coincidental, guys and girls. And I have now talked for almost 2.5 hours going through information that there's not another single YouTuber or person out here who is covering the Charlie Kirk assassination in the way that I am. I don't have super chats. I don't have ads running on my stuff. I don't have any of that, right? Ever since I've actually started this, I've had some book sales, which I'm highly grateful for. Thank you for the dozens of people that have gone in there and bought my book. It's just that's been shocking. So I really appreciate that. And I ask that that continue. That's a great way to support. Um, Also, guys, another way to support is to let me just show you. I'm actually on here. I can just show it to you, right? That would be a lot easier than just telling you about it. But I can actually go over here and show you. Let me see here. All right, there we go. I can actually go over here and show you that. Look, this is what. Hold on, right here. This is what I need from you guys. I have a donate area there. Feel free to use it. If you can buy the book, that's wonderful. Buy the book. But if you can do more and if you can donate, that would actually help as far as everything that I'm trying to put into this platform, PenPub. I know that people like Elon are going to try to take me out. Hopefully not literally, but they're going to try to definitely take PenPub down. They're definitely going to try to take me off of X. They've already tried 3 times, I think now. I've won my appeals because I do not preach hatred. I do not attack people and all this other kind of stuff. I do, I'll talk trash back to you and talk reckless to you as well sometimes. I've been known to do that. I'm not perfect in any kind of way. Um, but I don't instigate anything, and I definitely try not to go, too far over the line and stuff like that. I know how these algorithms work. So I've won my appeals on X, which is a lot more than I could say for some of the other companies. But I know even that day and age is coming to an end, guys. And we have to be honest. We have to be honest. It's coming to an end. And since we know that it's coming to an end, we have to get prepared. And that's why PenPub is here. That's exactly why it's here. Go read this post right here. This is what I did. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. I built something beautiful for you guys. This is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for those who want to link up with me and invest. I am looking for one really strong investor or a small team, very, very small, just a couple, few people of investors to kind of get this project over the next phase. If that is you, and you appreciate everything that you've heard here and you appreciate somebody actually paying attention to detail, that's exactly what I do with my product as well. um Reach out to me. I'm trying to affect the world. I'm trying to affect change, and I need your help in doing it. Otherwise it's just a guy making videos that nobody's listening to. So the only way that any of this works, and that the only way that my voice actually has any power behind it, is by you all. One, by listening. Two is by taking action. You want to share this information out there. You want to get this out to as many family and friends as you can. You want to send this out to Candace Owen. You want to send this out to Baron Coleman, who has become a force in his own. I believe he's an attorney too. Um, and that's another subject. We'll have to talk about that one day. But folks like Baron Coleman, folks like uh, who else is out there? Of course, I already said Candace Owen. Um, I can't forget Project Constitution. He has shared out a lot of my stuff. So I'll give him a shout out too as well too. Um, but at the end of the day, everybody that was in my circle around me when I initially came out, they all kind of fell off and went in different directions and started supporting other people and other things that they thought were true. And I let them. I never changed my path. I never changed which direction I was going in. I kept focused on what I know God had me doing and working on. And now I'm to this conclusion with you guys. I said it in four that it would be my last one. I had a feeling in the back of my head, in my heart, that I was setting myself up, and that that was not the truth, and it ended up not being the truth at all. So here I am in five, giving you another 2.5 hours plus of information and details and prayers and all kinds of stuff, right? Um, but beyond this, I don't know what more I could really offer. I've proven to you the two shots. I've proven to you how all of this works. I know I'm not crazy. So, if the government has chosen to work with me in the past before, and I've developed things for them and worked with them and consulted in certain situations, if they've chosen to work with me through the military and stuff like that, then trust me, you should probably think that somewhere in my brain, especially I was one of those gifted and talented kids, just like Candace talks about. Yeah, that was me. Going to gifted and talented programs, taking all these additional tests. I'm the only tall black dot in the group. So around a whole bunch of, white kids. But I was slated to be the next Bill Gates in my graduating. I graduated in 99, but slated to be the next Bill Gates because everybody just knew. And nowadays that's offensive. But back then, it was a compliment. Um, so I've been using this brain a long time to solve a lot of problems. This is not my first investigation. I've solved many investigations before. I've not my first one. But this one was the most relevant. I will say that it is the most relevant investigation I've ever done in my life. I have never had these kind of jitters doing an investigation. I've never been scared. I don't even want to say I'm scared now, but I have a very good life. Me and my family, my kids, my stepkids, my lady. I'm family oriented guy. I'm not out in these streets. I don't. I'm not a big drinker or smoker. I'm a very what do you call that? Just laid back. I'm a big laid back person. That's what I am. And I don't do stuff that is this in depth often, but I felt a calling on my life and God starting to say, it's time to use your voice. And I feel like He's waking me up now. This is just the beginning. The Charlie Kirk series and building Pen Pub. This is just the beginning. I have more companies and apps and all kinds of stuff that are in the making. I can't put all that stuff out at one time. We have to be uh, you know proper stewards over our blessings. So I'm waiting a little bit, but I have more things that I want to give you guys beyond Pen Pub. Monroe Innovation Group is the company that me and my lady own together, and we want to bring innovation to the world. We believe that freedom can be achieved through innovation, and we don't have to vote left or right in order to innovate. It doesn't require a left and right in innovation. That's not how it works. So in innovation, we can find our way to freedom. We can find our way back to dignity, unity. We can find clarity, and we can solve our own problems without asking a bunch of questions. Instead of me waiting for somebody to come out with the next platform, like I think they came out with Upscrolled. Well, that's great, but it's still a centralized platform. And you go in their terms of service and they tell you straight up, we will ban you. I won't. The only way that you get banned off of PenPub, because you're not on PenPub, you're in your own decentralized community. The only way to get banned is if the cops come knock on my door and say that person is committing a crime. Then sure, then we have to go to the server and we have to then take that address out of the community. That's it. And I can't even ban you from the way I've built this platform. I can't ban you from your following. Your list is your list. You earned them. You may have done paid marketing out there in the world. I don't know. However you decide to run your communities. And you may have gotten 100,000 people with their email addresses and phone numbers that signed up for your pen pal. Well, just because you're banned from using, pen pal because you've committed a crime, or the government thinks that you've committed a crime because they're going to start playing that card. We have to be prepared. We have to talk openly and honestly about it. Then does that mean that every time you should start over again just because you're being targeted? I don't believe that's the case. I believe that once you earn something, it's yours. I'm not about overtaxing people for their whole lives and all that kind of mess and drama. So once you earn your following here, they're your following. So if you want to spin up another pen pub and another website after you have legal issues and stuff like that, and that's all clear, then nothing is preventing you from stopping that, preventing you from doing that. I know I won't. As long as you're not involved in, of course, the adult industry on PenPub, gambling on PenPub. We don't do gambling on PenPub either. Um, and just the major things that are like that. Of course, the crime-ridden stuff, trafficking and drugs and all that kind of stuff. No, don't bring any of that stuff to my brand and all that stuff that is illegal. In the broader scheme of things, don't bring any of that to PenPub. But if you're a responsible human and all you're trying to do is have conversations and you want to be able to say the word Israel, you want to be able to say the word Netanyahu, you want to be able to say the word killed instead of unalive. And guess what? You can stop all that Orwellian behavioral control that they put you under with these centralized censorship outlets and come here and deal with me directly. Get yourself a pen pub. Let me hook you up. So I'm looking for investors. I'm looking for people who to help me out. I'm one man. I've done most of this. Well, I've done actually all of this on my own. My lady has supported me because she supports me as, of course, her man. But as far as building and putting all this together and social media and all this, coding and programming and all, that's all me, guys. It's all me. I don't have a team yet. I'm trying to get a team. I'm trying to hire some engineers. I'm ready to scale. This is just my personal pen pub. I'm trying to scale to the main site. The main site is going to be where everything is at. The main site will be where you're able to order your pen pub. It's already done. This order system is set up. The registration system is already set up. I've already built the tools for the conversion process. I've built everything for this already. It's already done. In order to enact it, though, I can't do it by myself. I can start it by myself. It'll take about 2 days before I need me a crew because it's just going to be, it'll be too much. I already know how powerful this concept is. And if I get one viral day where they start, 1,000 people download, and it'll just be too much. So I'm looking to get a crew together, a team together. I'm looking to get some help together. I need you guys to help me. If I've helped you out during this Charlie Kirk investigation, I need you to help me out. That's all I'm asking for. That's it. I'm out your hair now and I'm done talking. If you can just help me out and go on over to planbyty.com. Again, super easy. Planbyty.com. It's right down here in the corner. See that right there? Planbyty.com. It'll be anywhere you see this video. And hop on, show some love, buy the book, donate, hop on, and you can definitely buy the book right here, and you can definitely donate right here. And any donation is accepted. I don't care if you have $1, if you have $5, if you have 500, 1,000. Any donations over $500 though, as a matter of fact, I'll drop it. Any donations over $100, I'll make sure that you get a special credit roll at the end of some of these videos that I have coming up through the podcast. So if you would like that, reach out to me if you don't want that. So either way, I'm looking to grow and I need your help doing it. I've been developing and building on my own for a while now. Like what's her name? Uh, what's the girl's name? Charlie Kirk's wife. Like she says, uh, I'm busy building. I can't come down right now. That just sounds so elitist. She sounds so elitist. Erika Kirk is the worst. That's her name, Erika. But yeah, Erika, I'm busy building. I can't come down. So for the last almost a year, about 10 months, I've been building, guys. And I'm coming down and I'm humbly asking you guys to come help me. I need your help. If you have looked at this the sheet, and you said, how are we going to get through all of this? And now you realize that we actually just went through all of this right now. Um, then you know that I'm bringing value to this community. You know that I'm trying to give you guys bombshell, big pieces of information and data that nobody else is giving you, exposing some of uh, the deepest corruption and the deepest connection and links that you don't think exist, the stuff that they laugh at Candace Owens about. I'm actually showing you how it actually does exist, and it's very real, very real. You didn't expect to see Elbit funneling money through this LLC and that, and a subsidiary to Romania and offshore accounts and all of that from the SEC. I know you didn't expect to see that. But this is what I'm saying about what Charlie Kirk got himself involved in. He got himself involved in an international, what I believe, international money laundering and trafficking operation. And they just wanted to throw TPUSA in there as another vehicle of that operation. I believe he realized what was going on. He realized the cartel, the mafia control that was happening to him. He tried to speak out about it. I believe that he found out exactly who Erika was, and that she was basically nothing more than a honeypot, and that he had been deceived all the way around so that he could be controlled. And for that, they unalived him so that he would not put that information out. So here I am putting that information out to you. No one has brought you this a level of information in this amount in this way. All I ask is that you rock with me. That's all. Share this out to everybody. And with that, I'm done here, guys. I'll tell you this: make sure you pray, make sure you do the right things in life. Okay. Make sure you're staying close to God, because what's about to happen next in this country has never been seen before. And if you're not staying prayed up in this country, it's going to be a little bit difficult for you. Stay prayed up. Stay prayed up. All right, guys. Until the next time, stay alert, stay alive.